The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barbers Chat Network, our great partners at HMB Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those of you who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack, this like no Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world's most notorious sports show. First of all, I just want to give a fuck you to Dante real quick. As we rolled that in, I was trying to take a sip of my drink real quick. But anyway, we are here. I'm not going to hold you. This is Monday, September 30th, 2024. It is the last day of the month. And we got a big show for y'all, man. Big show for y'all indeed. We got a full 3-hour show. We're going to be talking about the Bears in a little while. We're going to actually talk about some baseball. We're going to talk about why Chicago baseball is in the gutter. And then we're going to actually preview playoff baseball. Courtney will join us later on in the show to help us with that as well. We're going to talk a little college football too, man. Shout out to everybody in the chase said, oh, Hollywood Hogan shades. But I told y'all the victory shades are on. Every time the Bears win a game, I'm coming on here with the victory shades, man. But y'all know where to follow me on all social media platforms at Barberchair Scott. Y'all can follow the Barberchair Network at BarberchairNet on all social media platforms. Follow our partners, HMB Media at HMB Media TV. And of course, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barberchair Network. If you got your phone right now, you can take that up to the screen, take you right to the QR code, and you can subscribe. We have 4 different tiers. We got the I'm Not Gonna Hold You tier for $5, the Summer Sessions tier for $5, 79th and Hallis tier for $5, and of course, you got the whole $10 tier where you can get everything. And if you are a first-time subscriber, you get a 25% off code on your first order on the BCNet Barberchair shop. And by the way, tomorrow is October 1st, which means it's the 10th anniversary of 79th and Hallis, 10th season. We'll be doing this podcast. You can see right here on the screen, we've got 10th anniversary merch that will be available on the shop tomorrow. Get your shirts and hoodies. We got them in navy. We got them in gray. And, it'll be up tomorrow. Give us your coins to get some of this, man. So, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm going to bring in my co-host right now. We've got JR Bang, we've got Dante, and we've got Mikey. I don't know if y'all peeped when the screen came on, the water fell on my hoodie. And that's I got 10 seconds. And then it just fell. But anyway, how y'all feeling?
Hey man, it's Victory Monday. So y'all already know how I feel. I'm happy. It's Victory Monday. Let's rock.
It's solid, man. Our boys continuing to improve despite the O-line being trash. Still saw some stuff I didn't like, but we got the dub. So, my 12-win prediction is still on track. We got to pick it up a little bit, but we got a stretch of very winnable games. So I'm feeling good right now.
Same, bro. Victory Mondays. If they feel much better after a W than they do an L, yes. You can turn on Chicago Sports Radio. You can go on about your day. You don't have to see no slander for 6 more days. So I'm cool, man. Let's get it. Yeah, you see me. Big indoor vibes. Big indoor vibes.
I'm surprised you don't have the Puerto Rican flag in the background.
Nah. I got the. You know what? I was gonna bring it out. Maybe I'll do it for the regular hour when we get into our baseball talk. I think it's It's somewhere. It might be in the storage. My Puerto Rican ass girlfriend had it on the balcony, and she had it on the balcony for the whole summer. So I'm like, they're gonna brick our crib. They don't want us over here.
Oh yeah, I know where you stay at. They don't.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, exactly. He said wearing it like a cape. Yeah, man. As you see, product placement. Get you one of these Barbershop Network mugs, by the way. DCNetshop.com. Get you one of them. Said, been wondering how I was feeling about the Sox. You ain't got to worry how I feel about it. I left them niggas 13 months ago. Ask these two niggas how they feel about the Sox. We'll get into that later on. As I try to be not reminded by Jerry Reinsdorf, then I forgot today was media day of the other Jerry Reinsdorf team. I have not let go of, but I will be boycotting. I have boycotted. But anyway, we'll get into that. We've got a guest we're going to bring out in just a minute, but I think we'll be remiss if we didn't start the show with the terrible news that came in this morning. Dikembe Mutumbo, NBA legend, basketball legend, passed away today at age 58 from brain cancer. I didn't even know he had that. For me, man, he is one of the guys that one of the first couple NBA players I remember watching growing up, being a big fan of 90s hoops and growing up in that era. My first ever memory of Dikembe Mutombo was actually kind of funny because they were playing the Bulls in the 1997 playoffs. Now, I remember he was talking about, he never dunked on, that Mike never dunked on him. And I remember that was a whole little back and forth thing they had all season. Even there's a funny clip that happened at the All-Star game this year. He said, I never dunked on you. Now, Mike said some Mike things in there that was hilarious. He said, we'll take away your green card, but that's just typical Michael Jordan. But, they got him in the playoffs, dunked on him, and hit him with the finger. All I can hear is Johnny Red Kerr in my head. Michael shakes the finger. But you always knew just how great of a defensive player that he was. Of course, that historic upset that he had when he was with the Nuggets and they defeated the Seattle Supersonics, where he's holding the basketball up in the air. We also remember him being with the 76ers and being that last piece to help get the Sixers to the finals in 2001. And we can't forget about all of the things he's done outside of basketball. He was the NBA's first ever global ambassador. And it's just real sad to see him go this early. It was something that kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't know he was dealing with that. But much love and respect to all his family members and all his friends and the entire NBA community, man. Mount Mutombo will always be remembered. You guys got any Mutombo? I'm gonna go to Bang. Bang is our hoop historian from the 90 days, man. What's some of your Mutombo memories?
Man, my first Mutombo memory, the biggest, is what happened in Seattle. For those who know me, they know that I was a huge Seattle Supersonics fan. I am a Gary Payton stan. I am a Sean Kemp stan. And when they had the number one seed in 1993, 1994, you could not tell me that this was the team of the 90s and they were going to win the title that year. And they were up 2-0 on the Denver Nuggets. And when they got to Game 5, I remember watching the game on NBC. And after the game was over, you had Dikembe Mutombo holding the ball up and everything, and they officially became the first team to defeat first 8th seed to defeat a number 1 seed. So yeah, that was the moment that put the Denver Nuggets back on the map. Because they were one of those teams in the 80s where they never got over the hump, but with Kiki Vandeweghe, Adrian Dantley, and others, they always was around. I mean, I think they even made it to a Western Conference Finals against the Lakers one year. But Dikembe Mutombo, even though I remember seeing him at Georgetown, really when you look at him and Alonzo Mourning, they were the last of, I won't say the last because Roy Hibbert, but one of the last or two of the last big men that came out of Georgetown, right? But then you also got to think about the impact that he had on the court. I think it's 4 Defensive Player of the Years. And then as a global ambassador to Africa, now they have NBA Africa out there. So, I mean, the only thing else that I can say is, since we're renaming trophies after people, Dikembe Mutombo,
Defensive Player of the Year,
yeah, that should have been the case already. But now that we're at where we at, that needs to be the Mutombo Award.
I definitely agree. That one of my favorite NBA, I won't say NBA films because it's not NBA films, but they backstage shit that they ain't got no name for. I remember they did a special on the 2001 Sixers, and I remember when he got to Philadelphia, and I think they were getting ready for Game 7 against the Raptors, which, by the way, that game still pissed me off. But whatever. Anyway, I was a massive. I'm still a massive Vince Carter fan, so I still see that shot, him missing that 3 in the corner in my head. But he was like the answers in the building. Hey, I was like the answer. Who the hell is the answer? That part was always hilarious to me, man. But Dante, any thoughts? I know you're out there in Atlanta. Any thoughts quickly, and then we'll go on to introduce our guests.
Yeah, man. Outside of basketball, Dikembe Mutumbo was a truly a great man. You know, he was an ambassador, like I said, not only a global ambassador, but he did a lot of things here in Atlanta for the community. And so he was somebody that was really respected around the city. You could actually see him all the time because he traveled so much. In Hartsfield Jackson, ducking through the door because he was so damn big. But he was always a cool dude. And it's unfortunate, for him to lose his life at 58. Passing away at 58. We've seen a lot of people this year, and we've just seen them more and more passing away at very young ages. So it's unfortunate. Everybody, like we say all the time, go to the doctor, get checked out, make sure everything's good with you. And this is a great loss for the basketball community. So, and I went bang. I think you definitely got to rename the Defensive Player of the Year award to the Dikembe Mutumbo award. And I think the memory for me is always going to be him on the floor with the basketball after they beat Seattle. Like, that's one of those iconic basketball moments, and I think that it'll continue to be that even as we add more moments. So, man, RIP to a truly great person.
RIP Dikembe Mutumbo, man. We're gonna move on to our next topic, man. It is time for the local hour.
It is the local hour.
The Victory Monday local hour edition here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You. And we've got a special guest. We've got somebody who I would like to call this guy a good friend of mine. I would call this guy one of the best follows in Bears Twitter. He's also the peacemaker in Bears Twitter. The one, the only, Greg Braggs Jr. Braggs, how you feeling, my boy?
Well, sometimes I'm the peacemaker.
Yeah, sometimes.
Not always. We're all guilty of getting in the mud every once in a while, but I'm doing good. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Definitely, man. If you're not in tune, y'all need to follow this guy right here, man, at his Twitter page. That is G Braggs Jr. 23 on Twitter, man. And of course, he is part of the great CHGO content they've got over there, all the Bear stuff. Shout out to everybody over there at CHGO, man. So let's just get right into it. Bears had a big dub last night, 24-18. I was in the building, and the crazy thing about this, I was sitting there next to my brother per usual. It's me, my brother, and the homie Herb Howard and Nicholas Mariano's right next to Herb. And we were all at the beginning of the game. I was going through it. I was like, how much longer do I have to deal with this? I was like, I already gave up my baseball team 13 months. I'm boycotting the Bulls. I ain't watched the Bulls game. I don't know how long I watched the Bulls game. And I haven't been to a Sox game in 2 years. I ain't been to a Bulls game. So I refuse to give Jerry Reinsdorf any one of my hard-earned dollars. I was like, am I going to have to I'm never going to give up the Bears. Let's just be 100% real about that. They could go 0-17 for the rest of my life. I will still watch them. But I was like, am I going to have to stop caring about it to that level? And then I felt like things started to wake up a little bit in the crowd. Early on, was not with it. It was boo birds in like the first or second drive, and to see them pick it up, it feels really, really good coming out of that with the dub. Braggs, I'm gonna go to you first, man. We talked about this last week in Bears Twitter with how last week's game ended against Indianapolis, and turnovers that Caleb had, and Justin having a strong start to the season, Jay Daniels having that great Monday Night Football performance, and just everything that Bears Twitter was going through this past 7 days to get to where they are now.
Well, yeah, I saw your tweet halfway through the first half where you're like, I'm about done with this. And yeah. I was like Patrick Ewing. I'm like, oh no, the fuck you don't. Like, you're not leaving me with these nut jobs. And so yeah, I mean, I get it though. I understand every Bears wave of emotion and frustration. I mean, some of the conversation, comparing and contrasting. I mean, those things, it's not like that's any different from any other fan base or any other circumstance. We did this with Mitchell Trubisky and Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. We'll continue to do this compare and contrast game. It's not just like the remnants of the Justin Fields arguments from last offseason. You're always going to compare the last quarterback to the next. And, Caleb's got a lot of pressure on him, man. He's got to go up against Justin and Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, what he did in his rookie year. He got compared to guys like Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck coming out of the draft. He's also got the curse of the quarterback curse he's got to go up against here in Chicago, which is one of the biggest mountains to climb. And so there's just a lot of things that he has to face. And I think week to week, you've seen the progression, but overall, when you talk about, the temperature of Bears fans, I think we're an extremely bipolar fan base. We don't know what we want. And we're sitting here. Everybody's telling me in the offseason, all that matters is Caleb's development. Quit talking about winning. Next year is going to be the year you win. Then they lose a couple games and everybody's like, fire everyone. And even Adam Hogue, who's one of the more level-headed, beat guys you'll find, on the beat report, but he's sitting there, questioning the O-line, questioning Waldron, talking about all this stuff. And I go, well, Hogue, would you say Caleb Williams is developing well? And he said, yeah. I go, well, who gets credit for that? Does Shane Waldron get any credit for that? This was before the win here on Sunday. And he was like, well, yeah, so overall, nothing's been perfect so far, but if we could just understand a little bit of patience and you saw what happened here on Sunday, I understand it's a Rams team that's not very good at this time and they're injured as well. But overall, I think we just have to give this an opportunity to come together quarter to quarter, game to game, week to week. It's not the popular answer, but it certainly is, to me, a reality.
Yeah, I had a very tough week on Bears Twitter. I had to look in the mirror and tell myself that, you know what? You can't be responding to everybody last week. But I almost challenged motherfuckers to fights last week. But and I had Mikey and Bang was like, Mikey told me like, yeah, the day people just don't like Caleb, man. Mikey, what you think about these past 7 days in Bears Twitter and kind of how it kind of feels like we're in I don't say much better space because it's Bears Twitter and things can change by Wednesday. But I feel like from where everything we've had these last week to get to with a win and everything going on right now.
Well, it's very simple. Winning cures all. Going into the matchup with the Panthers 2-2 makes everybody relax just a little bit more, compared to being 1-3. Yesterday, I know before the game, they went ahead and they rattled off the stat that no team that has started off 1-3 has made the playoffs since the NFL has gone to this format with the new expanded wild card. So there was a lot of pressure there. Like Bragg said, this wasn't the Rams that we're used to. Missing Cooper Kupp, missing Puka Nacua, but you take wins how you can get them. You still have to line up on Sundays. It's just, it's just a microcosm of kind of the sports media landscape and how it's covered, how it's digested, how it's talked about daily, that we see on Twitter. You have so many different people with various opinions. Bang always tells you, bro, like, stop arguing with people that have less than, with 300 followers. Yeah. And it's tough because a lot of the times you're arguing with a fucking bot or
or a
16-year-old or a 15-year-old, like behind an Abby that's not them, that it's a Justin Fields Stan account, and the kid's 15 years old and his mom's, using the public library internet. Like, it's just kind of how it is. I don't think we as people were supposed to have this much access to sports, or to a lot of stuff, in reality. It's just constantly being feeding this. And, like, I got my people in New York that don't really have allegiances to any fan base, like Hens and Germs. Germs is a Vikings fan. Yeah. Well, fuck him.
Well, Germs is an anti in New York sports fan.
Right. And Hens too. Anti New York sports fan. But they'll just say, hey, I heard Caleb's ass. And it's like, well, you're not watching the game. You're just watching Red Zone every Sunday. You're not really sitting here as invested as we are. So it gets ugly, because like Bragg said, Caleb has to go up against a lot. He has to go up against the Justin Fields stuff. He has to go up against the overall fact that the Bears have never had a quarterback. He's got to go up against the generational, title that was put on him. He's got to now go up against Jaden Daniels, who's playing his ass off. He's got to go up against the people that don't like his personality. He's got to go up against the fingernails, the pink phone, all of this bullshit he has to go through. And it's just like, this is what it is right now. But you can tell that they obviously locked in throughout the week. And, we're going to get into more of the game recap. But Bears fans, take the Aaron Rodgers approach and just RELAX, because this is a long season. If you paid attention to our show, we've stressed patience as far as dealing with the rookie quarterback. It's not going to be instant. The Commanders are seeing instant success now, but there's going to be a stretch where it's going to look like shit for them coming down the future, because that's just how this sport is. It's a week-to-week league. So patience, you have to take the wide lens approach and just enjoy it game by game.
Well, at the end of the day, Scott, it's just all these jokers on Twitter. It's bad faith arguments. Yeah. And we get sucked into it all the time because they throw the bait and we get fired up and we're like, all right, no, fuck you. I'm gonna come right back at you. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to twist you into a pretzel and to get into a bad faith argument. Last week, you go, hey man, look at all this progress from week 2 to week 3 through 363 yards. Look confident. They're like, well, it doesn't matter unless he wins. So then this week comes around, and they were like, hey, Justin Fields won. Justin Fields won, and that's all that matters. So then this week, he wins. Justin Fields loses. They're like, well, he didn't look only 157 yards. They're just arguing to argue, trying to twist everybody up into a pretzel. Last week, I was joking with my wife. Last week, Javonte is trying to talk shit to me, calls my wife ugly over the Bears losing and Caleb not looking good. I told my mom, you better watch out this week. If the Bears lose, somebody's gonna be coming for you next. Nobody's safe on these Bears Twitter streets. Yeah. I have fun with it at the end of the day. I don't care. You can say the craziest shit to me in the world, and you're gonna be hard pressed to see me get fazed by it. Come on to a job site with me and listen to what the guys on a construction job site will say to you. They'll say whatever they want. So, Javonte's making jokes, and me and my wife were laughing all week about it. We were making jokes back and forth about it. At the end of the day, that's what Bears Twitter is. It's a cesspool, and everybody's just trying to argue or chase clout. A lot of phonies that are on that app. That's all that is.
100%. And there's just one play that encapsulates all of that. You have the Caleb Williams, DJ Moore mix up on the end zone pass, and right away, you type in Caleb Williams, or you see on your feed, there's a million. Caleb Williams is ass. DJ Moore hates him. Caleb Williams is ass. He can't complete a pass. Let it die down. See what actually happened on the film. See what DJ Moore has to say. It was a clear mix-up. He ran the wrong route. He didn't go 100%. Like, everything doesn't need an answer and a definitive title put on it right there in the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Let's get into the actual game. Last night, Bears won 24-18. A better showing for the offense. Like I said, Caleb wasn't a lot of yards, but I feel like it was a real efficient game. I think it was his best, probably his most mature game, I'll probably say. The way he played, where he made the smart decisions. He's been getting the ball out quick, period, this entire time. But it really felt like this one, he had like a better feel of the offense, I guess. Like, he stayed in the pocket when he had to. That touchdown pass to DJ Moore was chef's kiss. Like, the way he stood there, despite all the pressure coming, he's going through all his reads and still getting off an accurate ball. He was 17 for 23, 157 yards passing, 1 touchdown. And he got sacked 3 times, but I just really think that's what it's going to be like, this offensive line. The rushing, all together, the team, they had 28 carries, 131 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns, 1 for DeAndre Swift, 1 for Roschon Johnson. DeAndre Swift also led the receivers, 7 receptions, 72 yards. And it was pretty, spread out. Cole Kmet got 3 catches, DJ Moore got 3, Keenan Allen had 3, Rome only had 1, but a pretty balanced attack. I feel like, to me, I said on the show on Friday, I said on 79th and Hallis last Wednesday, that all player coach meetings usually end in one of 2 ways. Either they really go great or this takes the season to hell. And I think that from what we saw at the beginning, it looked like it was going bad. I was like, what did they talk about in that meeting? Because it don't look like they learned anything. Like Waldron's still calling screens with Cole Kmet on third down. But then they started to get into their rhythm. And one thing I have to give Waldron credit for, it's the second half in a row where he's called a better game. And so I gotta give him props for. You saw DeAndre Swift. Khalil Herbert was not out there at all, which I personally didn't have a problem for because I said this is the offseason. My hot take was I thought he was actually going to get traded because I didn't think there would be no use for him with DeAndre and with Roshan. And you really just saw like the balance and the dedication to the run. I think there's maybe only 1 or 2 shotgun runs. I feel like they learned from that. I think as we go on through the season, I want to see more targets for your other weapons. You know what I'm saying? I think that'll come with Caleb learning and Waldron learning at the same time. But overall, I really don't have any complaints for how the offense looked. Now, of course, they got to do this again. You know, I think like Mercedes Lewis said in his post game, anybody can do it one time. Consistency is what you're going to see from here on out, man. Bang, what did you see from the offense yesterday, and what do you like the progress from Waldron? What will the Waldron grade here?
Look, I like the fact that we ran the ball and we stay consistent in running the ball. It wasn't about having to see a specific running back. It was just about using that damn running back. And they made it a case to get Roshan and Swift into it, and this was the Swift game. This was the game that we was expecting him to have a couple of games ago. This is the game where when you look at his contract, this is what we paid you to do. Not just to be a change of pace, but to change the game. And that's what he did with a lot of his touches. And Roshan was the bully out there. And that's what we needed. Now, with Khalil Herbert, it makes me wonder what is the future for him. Do you look at him as one of those trade pieces to get an extra pick for next year's draft or whatever? Could you see a three-man weave in the backfield? I don't know with all of the weapons that you have on the other skill positions. With that being said, though, I did like what I saw from the offense overall. Yeah, I was also one of those people that was like, here we go with this shit. This is how we're going to start off. But not only did I like that they kept with their game plan, which smoothed me out a little bit, the second half adjustments. Like what I'm noticing with this Bears team that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is that the second half turns out to be a little bit of a different game, especially on the defensive side of the ball. That this team this is the best second half adjustments team that I've seen in quite some time. We used to bitch, moan, and complain about how no matter what happened when Matt Nagy and them get into the locker room, ain't shit gonna change. We gonna get our ass whooped. And we was worried about that a little bit last year as well. But this team, second half, makes me more comfortable to know that we're not gonna be out of any game if they keep acting the way that they acting and doing what they're doing, to the point where I still say this. I'm consistent with this. The offense is going to take time. The way that the seasons, we talked about this in the chat, the way that the seasons are break down, we just had our preseason. If the offense could get into shape in this next quarter of the season, and if the Bears continue to do what they're doing when it comes to second half adjustments, we're not going to be out of any game this season.
I think the defense alone, like you just said, is going to keep us or keep them. I'm making my media chops on. Keep them in the game going forward. Dante, what'd you like that you saw from St. Waldron? What grade would you give him for yesterday's performance?
I would give him a B. I can give him a B. I think what I like more than anything is he put his players in a position to succeed. The play that stood out the most to me is a simple play, but the touchdown run from Roshan Johnson, when he put the backup center in at fullback, and they just, ran old school downhill and got the touchdown. It was no more running lateral, no more trying to do fancy trick plays at the red zone, in the red zone. It was more so trying to put the ball in the end zone. Even the misses from Caleb, you saw them consistently trying to move the ball down the field, trying to get the ball in the end zone. And, I think those of us like myself who hyped it, I made the joke about if he throws 40, I'll get the USC tattoo. But we're coming to reality that, you know, he's learning. It's still a process. You know, this offense is still growing. We still have a, you know, first year in the system. I know, like I said, Scott, they sold us, you know, they sold us a dream the way they hyped it at the beginning. Like, well, you know, we've been putting it in place since March. And so, you know, even with all that talk, you still have to get out there on the field and actually do it. But I like that, you know, like I said, I feel like at the end of the day, he put his best players in a position to succeed. And that's something we got to see going forward. And also, a lot of the rotation, you saw the best players out there. It was no more just random, you know,
no DeAndre Carter,
play, no DeAndre Carter. I'm with you, Scott. I think Velus has probably played his last snap with the Bears. A lot of inactives from him. So, but I like that. I want to see the best players. You know, Keenan was back, and let's continue to do that and build from that.
So, Braggs, I know when we were at camp this year, I think one thing we saw from Caleb, I know even from being there doing the OTAs and stuff, is like sometimes it started off slow, but once he starts to get it, it really heats up. We saw that at the beginning of the camp. Sometimes he wasn't getting a little bit, then it got better and better. We're seeing the same thing here. What did you see from Caleb and how Waldron kind of used Caleb, and what did you like overall of what you saw from Waldron yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, to me, you're right. The camp kind of has become a microcosm of what we've seen in the regular season so far, struggling early and getting better and better as it goes along. And by the end of camp, they were playing very well. And you were like, that's what fooled a lot of us, even the people that were trying to stay guarded and like, I'm not going to get overhyped. And then by the end of camp, you're like, all right, I'm hyped. And Hard Knocks, I think, had a little bit to do with that too. Like, you know, showing them, you know, beating the brakes off Cincinnati in the rain in the joint practice, you know, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, Cincinnati's a good team, and that means the Bears should be good. Well, you know, we were so worried about how many reps Caleb was getting in those preseason games. We forgot to ask how many reps DeAndre Swift in the run game were getting in those preseason games. And they didn't give him any. And it's shown here. He had as many yards here in week 4 as he had all of weeks 1 through 3. And so when you talk about Waldron, you know, having to adjust and acclimate to his personnel, I mean, week 1, he had Gerald Everett has more snaps than Cole Kmet. That's completely reversed. Gerald Everett's barely getting on the field now. To your guys' point, you don't see DeAndre Carter out there on Sunday or yesterday. And so it's just little by little trying to figure out who you want. Last week, goal line, 4 runs. You don't have Roschon Johnson with the ball. This week, you get on the goal line. The very first play is jumbo package with Doug Kramer as your fullback. And then they did that play again in the fourth quarter on a big 3rd and 1 where they needed it. And those are attitude run calls. This is what we are showing you what we're running. Try and stop us. And I was surprised the Bears got both of those so convincingly. Like, for them to have not really shown that. And then I just think they said enough's enough. And Waldron said enough's enough. The offensive line said enough's enough. DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson said enough's enough. So good on them. You know, and that's where it requires us to have some patience for these guys to figure it out, because everybody's like, well, what the heck? How come you didn't have this down week 1? Yeah, that's the goal. But at the end of the day, as long as they do figure it out, I'll be happy with that and find a way to win a football game as you get there. So Shane Waldron, you talk about adjustments, or you talk about, this team having great second half adjustments. I completely agree with you. But even in this game, 0 points in the fourth quarter or in the first quarter, they've had 3 points overall in all 4 first quarters of the season. The defense too, if you look, like this was the first game the Bears actually played with a lead. And I get a lot of that has to do with the offense, but if the defense wants to hold themselves to a higher standard like Jalen Johnson's trying to preach, then you want to be elite level defense. You got to hold it down. You got to do everything you can to turn the football over like you did, Montez Sweat, and put Caleb Williams in a position to make a play and get a touchdown, you know, on a short field. Those are the things that we're used to seeing in the Lovie Smith era. And that's what this defense ultimately is going to have to do. And you've got winnable games coming up against the Panthers, Jaguars. And then after the bye, you got some games, you know, where with the Commanders, Cardinals, and Patriots. You know, I'm not saying they can lose any of these games, but they can certainly win these games as well. And it's going to require, you know, obviously to continue these second half adjustments, but let's try to get off to a faster start here in the first half, in the first quarter. So we're not, you know, all stressing out and putting stress on the team. Because you can't lean on this and expect everything to come into place, you know, in a 3-0 game in the second half. But overall, you got to love what you saw from Shane Waldron in this game, and you got to love the attitude adjustment by the entire team in general.
And to kind of piggyback off what you were saying about, how there's still stuff to work on in a winnable schedule. That's why I said that yesterday was such an important game. As I said on Friday, I don't want to put must win early in the season, but there's a very distinct difference between 2-2 and 1-3. And DJ Moore said that on Mully and Hall this morning, like, you start going on a losing streak, you just dig yourself a bigger and bigger hole there, and it's kind of hard to get out of. Now, you feel much better about the season. One thing Lovie Smith used to always say, quarters. Now, I know we have an odd number of games now. It's not 16 anymore, but still, technically, the first quarter of the season, you come out as 2-2, especially as slow as your offense is looking, I'll take that. Mikey, I'm going to kind of change the question a little bit for you. Tell me, number one, what you thought about what Waldron did great last night, what you think he can do better of, and just what you think about Caleb's progress each week.
Well, for me, one thing that I have been preaching is I wanted to see more intermediate routes. I felt like obviously we seen that Caleb had been taking a beating in the pocket, getting sacked 6-7 times in consecutive weeks. And I felt like all of the routes were long developing. Yesterday, we saw kind of a more short game plan, a lot of quick outs, a lot of stuff to the running back. DeAndre Swift had, 7 receptions. They were utilizing him in different ways. Cole Kmet being able to, to be that security blanket for Caleb Williams. Keenan Allen, I believe one of the first third down completions was a tight throw to Keenan Allen on the right hash. I think there was two DBs draped over him. He was able to get that. So I really like that. And then there was a balance, 23 pass attempts for Caleb Williams, 17 of 23 for 157. I like that. They were able to have that balance of the run game and the pass game. I think what really worked is, that they were able to kind of start chipping away at the run game. I believe DeAndre Swift had about almost 6 yards, per carry. Obviously, that's a little bit. Yeah. It's a little bit, exaggerated because of the one big long run. And then, Roshan was averaging, I think, close to 3.5 per carry. And you got to look at it for that. They were using him on more short goal, short distances. But it worked. My thing is, we're witnessing the anti-Matt Nagy. You guys remember Matt Nagy, the first 15 scripted plays? It looked amazing.
Yeah.
The first 15 plays for Shane Waldron, I don't know what the fuck we're doing. I was one of the people that tweeted right away, I don't know why I subject myself to this. I'm 35 years old. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. And then, the defense will reel me back in. So I just want to see us for once go ahead and get out to a quick start, put up 7 right away, or, at least get some positive momentum, get a couple first downs, within that first possession. Because one thing I'm noticing is, too, a lot of teams are just deferring. We're going to defer. Put the rookie quarterback out there. Let's see what they can do right away. So the Bears are obviously going to have to adjust to that and get off to, a hot start. But what I really did like was just the intermediate routes. I do believe that the deep balls will come to, the wide receivers deep down the field. Eventually, it's going to take time. But, I was really glad in how Caleb Williams was able to spread the ball around and kind of in that short to intermediate range, he was automatic.
Yeah, I think one thing too, when we talk about Caleb's progress, I like to see how he's getting better at things. The first 2 weeks he was not really good against the blitz. Got much better last week against Indianapolis, and this week, when he's facing the blitz, he was 8 of 9 for 75 yards and a touchdown. And I think that's something that's been really, really great. His QB rating, pass rating is getting higher and higher, no matter how, depending on how much you value that stat anymore. It's getting higher and higher each week. And I think that, we'd have loved for him to come out guns a-blazing and kind of have the start that CJ Stroud had last year, the start that Jaden Daniels is having right now. But I also think that kind of goes back to coaching. I think that everybody on this show would have all been fine with Cliff Kingsbury being offensive coordinator. I don't think we have one person on the show who's attractive to that. And we see just how different the scheming is in Washington is now. But for the first time in my life that I can remember ever, even when I look at offensive problems, the quarterback's not one of them. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you're just seeing stuff. The talent just oozes off the screen, and things that he messes up, he quickly changes. You know, the leadership value. Everybody was talking about, oh, DJ Moore sitting on the side by himself. Well, a lot of people don't understand. It's like when I forgot who reported it. Somebody said that Caleb has that armband thing. Like, he's been wearing that since week one. Like, they something new. Like, DJ likes sitting on the bench by himself. That's just what he does. And if there's anything I've learned about DJ Moore for being around him, he's a happy. I wouldn't say he's a happy-go-lucky guy, but he's always in a good mood. You know, DJ just be in his own world. I don't know if he spoke, but he be seeming high when you be around. Like, he just be chill all the time. So I didn't think it was a problem, especially seeing the conversation that he had with Caleb and trying to see what happened on that missed touchdown, then to go out there and throw one. I think that just shows just how much Caleb is progressing. Braggs, I'm gonna go back to you. What did you like the most that you're seeing from Caleb's progression each and every week?
Well, I think the thing you've seen overall 4 straight weeks is his poise in the pocket. Even if the pocket is collapsing, he doesn't get rattled. You know, he takes some sacks, he'll miss a read, he'll miss a throw, but you see a guy that is more comfortable than we're used to seeing most quarterbacks in the pocket. And there's times even where we're like, man, get out of the pocket. But no, he wants to stay in it. And there were times in the first half, like maybe he could have spun out like he does and do some crazy jump man throw. But then if he does that on the touchdown pass to DJ Moore, that touchdown pass never happens. He stays in the pocket. Braxton Jones is about to give up another sack. I mean, Jared Verse was giving him the business yesterday, but that didn't deter Caleb Williams from standing strong in that pocket. Looks left, sees DJ Moore right on a linebacker and puts a dime on him in a tight pocket throw. So to me, overall, his pocket presence has been great. Now, when you talk about who's to blame for the offensive struggle so far, Caleb certainly has a hand in that, only because he's a young quarterback learning the calls at the line of scrimmage. He talked about a couple weeks ago or last week, communication with the center. Then this week was talking about communication with his offensive coordinator. Those things take time. Communication, chemistry, especially when you have injuries to your offensive line, injury with Keenan Allen, really injuries to all 3 of your wide receivers early on at certain points. So to me, him trying to identify not just protections for pass plays, but lining up the protections on run plays. And they're putting a lot of responsibility on his plate. So what's been great is watching his progressional development in that area. But the thing that's been consistent for 4 weeks is his poise in the pocket. Yeah. And again, you guys brought up the adjustments and getting better as the game goes along. We have a quarterback that doesn't melt down as the game goes along. That's something we aren't typically used to. As things get worse, the quarterback gets worse normally for us. But this guy seems to continue to show poise and try to fight through it. You even saw that in week 1. As pitiful as they looked, they still found a way to scratch some points off the board to help that comeback against the Titans in a miracle win. So overall, there's nothing to not like about what Caleb Williams is doing. Could it have been better? Sure. Who gives a shit? What matters is the end game. The $1 million question is he the guy? That's all that matters. And unless you think that he's going to get shell-shocked by the hits he's taking, because he's certainly taken a lot, or he's never going to be able to pick up reading defenses, if those things you think are going to happen, then he's not the guy. Other than that, all the talent he has, there's no questioning his talent. It's just about processing what he's seeing in front of him and continuing to develop as the leader behind the line of scrimmage. Once he gets that stuff down, once the offensive line starts creating pockets for him, he's going to be a great quarterback for the Bears, and every fan should be excited for that, and there should be no reason to be throwing strays and bullshit about quarterbacks that don't play for the Bears. The guy we've got is a good quarterback, and that should be enough for Bears fans.
But you know what, though? We live in a world where we are professional overreactors, right? Whether it is he threw for 363 yards and it was, why are we yada yada, or man, he strip sacked. This looks like Justin, or then you see Justin have the game that he has. It's like, oh, even though they lost, I will too echo Bragg's statement and even go further. appreciate this now. Appreciate what you see from Caleb right now. Because when it does turn over, your guys are going to forget about all of that, and we're going to have 10 to 15 years with an excellent quarterback. But appreciate these times that we're getting right now, because these are, in my opinion, these are the last times we're going to see this. Like, if I knew we had the right quarterback during the Houston game. I knew we had the right.
I got a quick question for you. Is this like, I don't have kids, so you would know. Is this like when you watch your kids walk?
Yes.
Like, take advantage of them being toddlers.
Take advantage of them being toddlers, fam. Like, when I look at my kids now, especially the two younger ones, I'm like, yo, when y'all grow up, y'all gonna be something. Y'all gonna do something. You gonna have all the girls, or you gonna play sport. Like, appreciate this now. Because I thought after that Houston game where that could have been a collapse game. And then what happened that weekend in general with Jalen Daniels having the game that he had, we could have been in DEFCON 5 right now. But not only we have some winnable games coming up. So appreciate these times right now, because we're really seeing the true essence of developing a quarterback. And quite honestly, I can't think of a time where I've been a Bears fan and we truly saw the development of a QB. We're seeing it in real time, and that's why I think some people are still on the fence about some things, because they ain't used to seeing the development of a situation either. We got Jay Cutler off of a trade. We didn't really have to develop him. So, yeah, just appreciate these times, yo.
Everybody's making adjustments. I mean, Simone Biles was even on the sidelines wearing Bears gear, not Packers
Shout out to
gear.
who got her right.
So, come on, it takes time.
Yeah. And I think, too, there's something I've noticed from just, like, being in the building and being around is Caleb has still kept his enthusiasm, I guess. Like, you know, when he would be in the summer, I'd be like, I wonder how long he going to keep with that, hey, everybody, and the Bears. He keep doing this shit. Like, so that's what I like to see. He's very confident. I think he got a little cockiness in him, too, which is what you want to have from your quarterback. And I think that's something that, like you said, Bang, he could have crumbled at that Houston thing. He got pummeled, bro. Like, and it was loud up in Houston. Crowds was going wild, and that could have brought him back down. But I also think too that last year USC kind of prepared him for this a little bit. I've always said this: USC is LA's pro football team. It's not the Rams, and it's definitely not the Chargers. It's USC. To come off that year, and he had a terrible offensive line. It didn't have a good record, and to deal with that kind of scrutiny, obviously, it's not the same as Chicago. Chicago media, Chicago fan base are a completely different world than anything out there in Los Angeles. But I kind of think that prepped him a little bit. Dante, you said you were expecting a lot from him as well this season, like we all were. But what do you take from his performance, and what do you like that you've seen week to week?
I like the fact that his confidence doesn't look shaken. I know we talk about, not wanting our quarterback to get snake bitten or develop bad habits. We see how quickly things turned for Bryce Young. And that was something that we know with his talent, that's something we didn't want to see. So I think, despite the offensive line issues and the shuffling of the deck, I mean, he's continued to show you why people are so high on him. Like Bragg said, he's been committed to staying in the pocket and working in the pocket. I still want him to retire that spin move, but, it works for him. And yesterday we saw, him again, the time is going to come with the deep balls and the balls downfield. But he was actually working the ball. He was taking the layups, making those throws. He made some really, really good throws, like putting them in some tight windows, the balls that I think that, a lot of other quarterbacks, had they thrown them, would have been intercepted, So I'm loving the way I was exactly what I was. He's processing everything well, really going through his progression, something that we've always seen quarterbacks struggle with. Most of our quarterbacks have been a one read and run kind of guy, but to see him sit there and go through, all of his progressions and sometimes come back to the first progression or whatever, that's been something that's a sight to see from a rookie. Also, the fact that they've given him full control of the protections, and, he comes up, he makes adjustments. He really shows that he has, a full grasp of the offense, already. And it's just about getting that consistency and putting it out there on the field. So I think for me, again, a lot of my issues are not with Caleb. It's the offensive line, which is something we all talked about, going cheap on the O-line. And now we're seeing the results of that. So for me, I think I really enjoyed the fact that he hasn't looking shaken. I'm glad you said that he comes into the building with that same enthusiasm. Because I think that's important, and that's showing, more and more that he really is like he's a quarterback, bro. Like he's really, built for this. And yesterday it was dope to see him because we see him talk about Matt Stafford a lot. Some of the throws that he was making, like that both of them made yesterday, were really impressive. So that was dope. So I mean, I'm beyond excited for what we have and at the quarterback position.
And one thing I'll say about Stafford before we move on to the next topic, I said in the press box, I told everybody who sitting next to me, he's gonna throw us one. There's one thing I know. Stat Pafford is still Stat Pafford. I don't care what he did over there in LA. Won the championship. Great. I think he's a much better quarterback than people give him credit for. But when he plays in the North, he gonna throw a pick. And he should have had two if Jaquan ain't run out of bounds. But I saw it coming. And Jaquan Brisker, just a side note to him, best game I've seen him play as a pro. I know he had a game last year. He had 17 tackles.
Yes.
Yeah, he was all over the field, man. The sack that came out of nowhere. He hit Stafford like he was came out the corner. It was just a great overall game for him. Now, Braggs, you were talking about the schedule, and that's something I want to talk about now here. The next 5 games before we enter the Gauntlet of Hell. Now, if you don't know what the Gauntlet of Hell is, that's when they play all of their division rivals, and then they also got a little bit of Seahawks and Niners sprinkled in there. Literally, their final 9 games are against their 8 games. 3 opponents. They got the North, and then they got the Niners, and you got the Seahawks. Before they get to them, you've got the Panthers at the crib this week. That's going to be a game with the Andy Dalton revenge game. Hopefully not. Even though they lost, they've been playing better. They play better against that terrible. That Bengals defense is probably worse than not. Like, I knew the something was off when the Bears, both the first and the second teams, were killing them and camp. I was like, this might be a tough defense. But you play the Panthers at the crib on Sunday. After that, go to London. I'll be there. Braggs be there. Dante be there. They'll be playing the Jaguars and trick off Trev looking. I don't even know if Doug Peterson even gonna make the flight to get to London. That's how bad they look right now. Then you get a bye week. You come up now. This is the game that everybody's gonna be looking at. The game that Bang said could drive Bears fans off a cliff. That is October 27th in DC. Washington Commanders versus the Chicago Bears. That's the game. And then you got the Cardinals. The Cardinals, they looking kind of mid too, but the mid afternoon West Coast games get a little shaky. And then you come home against the New England Patriots before the gauntlet starts. I think that there is a world where they could go 4-1. Am I saying they're going 4-1? No, I've got to see more consistency from this offense before I go there. But this 5-game stretch to me is a season because I believe they can't go any worse than 3-2 if they want a shot in the second half of the season. Braggs, what do you think about this schedule? And, what's your confidence level for these next 5 games?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, the goal should be to try to go 4-1 here, because then that sets you up at 6-3 with what, and then you have 8 games to go, and you can go 4-4 in those games. Split the hell gauntlet. What'd you call it, Scott?
I call the gauntlet from hell.
The gauntlet from hell. So if you're 6-3, you can go 4-4 the rest of the way in the gauntlet from hell. So that's why when you said, well, these games aren't, the Rams game, I didn't want to call it a must win. I called that a must win. The Colts game was a must win. Week 1 was a must win because it's a numbers game at this point. If they'd beaten the Colts, then they'd only have to go 3-2 the next 5 games, which certainly seems a lot more reasonable. 4-1, it's like, dang, I don't know if we really have any evidence that they can do that. I didn't really have any evidence that they could beat the Rams, but I picked them to beat the Rams, and somehow they did. So if they keep getting gradually better on offense the way they have, I think it's a reasonable expectation that they can go 4-1. Certainly, it's not a certainty by any means, but it all starts here these first 2 games where you're playing a team in the Panthers that are 1-3 and the Jaguars that are 0-4 right now. And Anthony Richardson might not play against the Jags here coming up this Sunday, so maybe the Jags can get their first win before they play the Bears.
And if Flacco was looking kind of nice yesterday.
That's 100%. And if not, maybe Doug Peterson doesn't make the trip to London. That's certainly going to be interesting too, because the Jags play back-to-back weeks in London, and I like the fact that and I like the fact that we got them on the first week and not the second week where they've been there for a little bit. Everybody calls it home field advantage for the Jags because they go out there all the time. But, you know, I was at the Bears game in 2019, and I'm here to tell you it was all Bears fans at that stadium. So I don't know how much has changed here in the last 3, 4, 5 years since I've been there. But all I know is, you know, I know Bears fans will be well represented in that game. So get these 2 wins and get to the bye week. Now you have, you know, a nice handful of games to look at the film, look at your adjustments that you need to make. And now you enter those 3 games, which is a nice kind of warm up before the gauntlet from hell. Maybe they flex that Washington game, the Commanders game versus the Bears, into a Sunday night football affair. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Have Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams face off. I'm not sure what the Sunday night slate for that game for that week is.
I thought about that earlier too. I looked at it. It's Dallas and San Francisco. So I don't think
they're not flexing.
They're not flexing out of Jerry's world.
Yeah, no, Jerry got the dibs on that, so that's fine. You know, maybe it gets flexed into the 3:00 spot though. You never know. So, you know, overall, yes, 4-1 should be the goal. But certainly winnable games here to go on a run. And if the Bears keep now, it's like every week they check a box, right?
Yeah.
You know, every week they feel all right. Don't get Caleb killed. Check. You know, next week start throwing the ball vertically. Check. Next week, all right, now we're running the ball. Check. Now put it all together, you know, and they don't have to be great to win games. You know, their defense and their special teams are picking them up. So they just have to get marginally better. And then the hope is by the time you play Green Bay, you've reached a point where you can start playing competitive football against real deal teams.
Yeah. Mikey, what's your feel heading into these next 5 winnable games?
Well, I had always said, you know, what we see in the first week of September, I hope is not, you know, the Bears team that we see in November. Just kind of like to echo Bragg's sentiment. These are the games where we can go ahead and start to develop good habits, prop up the offense. You know, we just go to Sunday. We're going to be going up against the Carolina Panthers, who currently rank 28th in the league in opponent yards per game at 358. They give up 32 points a game on defense, so that you're looking at the worst team in the NFL as far as that. You're playing another home game, 2-0 at home. I think in order for you to find a path to the playoffs, you have to win your home games. If you win your home games, split or go 500 on the road, that's like 11 wins, 12 wins. It's very simple. So I think that we're getting there. Take care of business against the Panthers. Now you go to London. For me, that Jaguars game is tricky because they do have some weapons. They're not putting it all together. But again, defensively, I believe they're 30th in points given up per game. And I want to say they're last in the league in opponent yards per game given up. So these are 2 games, or really 3 games coming off with the Rams. The Rams game was as far as their defense and what they give up. But 3 games where the offense and Shane Waldron and the running game and the passing game, where everything can start to build up, you know, as we get into that matchup that we see, you know, that weekend of your birthday, Scott, with Jaden Daniels. Right now, I have the Bears beating the Panthers and the Jags. That Commanders game is really going to be a toss-up. I really want to see how the Commanders look against a really good defense. We'll be able to see that during the bye week as they play on the road against Lamar and those boys in Baltimore. But I think the Bears can go ahead and be 6-3 going into, that pivotal stretch in November. I will be at that game the week before Thanksgiving, that division game with the Vikings. I will be there. So it's you have to take the layups. You have to beat these teams, and it's kind of like how we said the other day. The Colts game was a game that was winnable, and the Bears should have won it, and they lost it. They're going to find a way to fuck around and win a game that they have no business winning, later on in the season.
Bang, you said on the I'm Not Gonna Hold You Bears special that this is the part of the schedule where they're going to go on a run. Do you still feel that way?
Oh, you damn right. I'm still delusional. It's not going to change. this has to be it. This is the preseason is now over. And now, since the preseason is over, you're going against teams that are struggling. Like I said during the preseason special, they're going up against teams that ain't really improved.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the schedule, when people be prognosticating and making their predictions about the Bears, I don't really think people be really looking at the schedule. Because when you looked at this part of the schedule, this is the part of the schedule where the Huffness is at, right? I wish they would have won that Colts game. I had that as a victory, but now since that is done and over with, I did have the Rams as a win. So now if you can roll off of these and gain confidence, that to me helps you out when you get to the gauntlet of hell. Because if I'm a more confident team going up against the division, especially, I don't care if they came back or not, especially the way that you saw Green Bay play, especially if you're still not that confident in Sam Darnold. And then we'll see what happens with Detroit tonight. But you beat them last year once and should have beat them twice. So if I'm the Bears, if I could roll off 3 to 4 straight, when we get into the division time, I'm confident as hell. Because now my quarterback is better than he was when you first saw him. And the defense is better than when you saw last year, because now we're even a more confident team. I expect to see more from Gervon Dexter Sr. I believe that these next 4 games should be the games that he dominate, because all of those teams, for the exception of the Commanders, has some offensive line issues too. So no, I see a very opportunity for a very confident Bears team to be entering the division round of this season, because this is an opportunity for them to win at least 3 straight, and 4 of the 5 games that's coming up.
Dante, what's your feeling on these next 5?
I don't want to be the guy to say
5 did a stop.
I don't want to be the guy to be ridiculous, but I do think
join me, my brother, in delusion.
The Colts game is a game that I feel like we should have won that we lost. So to compensate, I think there's a game on the schedule, that we're gonna win that people think we're gonna lose, and I think it's gonna be that Commanders game. Like I do think that they're gonna go on a sustained run, and they will be. The Commanders game is the 3rd game out of the 5.
Yep.
Yeah, the 3rd one out of 5. That's right after the bye week.
Okay, yeah, they'll be 2-0 going into that game.
And the funny thing is, we're watching that game together because we'll all be drunk and gambling, celebrate my birthday. That's gonna be a funny day.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be a great day. But no, I believe 4-1 is attainable, as is 5-0. But like you said, Braggs, they haven't shown us enough for me to put my full faith in that. Like until you show me that you consistently go out here and beat the teams you're supposed to beat, which we just saw them not do. It's tough to do it. So, but I think 4-1 is reasonable, and I think my faith in that is really high. I'm 70-30 on that. On them going 4-1 in this 5-game stretch, because I think the defense is that good.
I'm with you, Dante. I'm 70-30 too. I think I'm taking a more of a 1 game at a time approach for my mental sanity. But I think they've get, and the reason I'm so confident, and even this defense, bro, it's better than I thought it was gonna be. And to hear Jalen Johnson go out there, they say, man, I don't like how we playing. That's what I want to hear. Keep getting better. Keep finding ways to dominate. If you look at the quarterbacks they're going up against, Andy Dalton, not falling for it. Trick off Trev, as I called him, Duval Daniel Jones. And if you take away the fact that he was this football Jesus in Georgia when he was a teenager in Clemson, he's exactly what Daniel Jones is. So you got that. Come back, Jaden's been great. But what did my man say? Yeah, I'm a little worried, but I packed that thing too. I think this defense got something for Jaden Daniels. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what Caleb's gonna do, but I feel pretty good about what that defense can do to kind of mix things up for that rookie. Then after that, you got man, you got Kyler Murray. I've never been that big of a Kyler Murray fan. I feel like that's taken care of. I don't care who's out there. Drake May, Jacoby Brissett, and Drew Bledsoe. You can beat the Patriots. That's why I'm so confident, because of the defense, and it's going to give the offense ample opportunities to get it done. So I feel like the Bears, and just taking one game at a time this week, worry about Carolina, knock out Carolina. Like, okay, we in London now. Let's not have the same London game we had 5 years ago. Let's take a little bit of different approach to this. Take that out. And then I think Caleb himself is going to have that Commanders game circle. He's going back home. You know what I'm saying? He got everybody over there rooting for Jay Daniels. He's going like, yo, don't forget about your boy. So I definitely think I feel good about it. I'm not going to put a prediction out there, but there's a great chance for them to go 4-1 in this span, man. Last Bears talk before we wrap this hour up with some small baseball Chicago Bears talk. So my favorite, if y'all know me, y'all know my favorite football player of all time is Mr. Tom Brady. The first ever Super Bowl party I had, I was in 7th grade. It was the Bears and it was the Patriots and the Rams. First ever Super Bowl party I had, and that was Tom Brady's first championship. And to see his whole career, we all know the free agency he had 5 years ago, where he decided to go to Tampa Bay. He went up there yesterday, up there in his 4th game now, in Tampa. They played against the Eagles, and I got a little bit of Jalen Hurts in the second hour. I ain't forgot about you either. But he went up there and said he almost went to the Bears. That's the problem I have with that statement. This is like when you get a new relationship and some girl you really want to hit. It's like, you know what? I was gonna let you hit. I don't want to hit it. Leave it alone. It's kind of like when Dwayne Wade gets in front of the camera every chance he get. Or you know, me and Braun was coming. If that trade to send Lou Aldain to the Clippers would have went down, we was coming. I don't want to know. Like, leave it alone. For my sanity, I didn't need to know that you was even considering the Bears. Now, knowing how the Bears are, he probably wouldn't have went out there looking like Vinny Testaverde, but that's neither here nor there. The fact that was a chance, you could have left that alone. Like, what did Cardi B say? What was the reason? What was the reason for telling me that? You just could have let that go. Bryce, do you take anything from what Brady said? You think there's something you just saying off, you know, to kind of get his commentary chops going?
I'm not stupid. I don't believe him. He was never coming to Chicago. Are you kidding me? Go down to Tampa Bay, where it's nice. There's no state taxes. Or you can go to Chicago, where they mess everything up, and you'd have to literally put this entire team and organization on your back and deal with all the crap that you got to deal with here in Chicago. He wasn't coming here. Come on now. He's just playing games. He's telling stories. I'm sure the Bears did call, and he was like, yeah, thanks for calling. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, you know how I knew he wasn't coming? Look at the cards. Said Bears 10 million. Tampa Bay 20 something.
It's not even a conversation.
It was like 27 million, right?
It's not a conversation. I know more people from Chicago and Tampa right now, and they leaving us. So you mean to tell me you gonna take our little minor 10 million?
Well, you know, McCaskey's offering $15 an hour to former players of the Bears. So I mean,
yeah, come be a ball boy. Yeah, we know you played here. Come be a ball boy. Like, and it's also, I didn't kind of call cap a little bit. Giselle wasn't living in Chicago.
Hell no.
Like, I know they were
divorced. They were divorced. They were already kind of like split, because he had said it. He was like, I wanted to be closer to his first son and stuff. Like, they were already kind of going through their thing. She was kicking it with the martial arts teacher already. Exactly. Yeah, she was you want a scuba? But you know, and like, let's be real. Like, Tom Brady was gonna come. You know what it would have looked like? It would look like what it's looking like right now. It would have been looking like what it's looking like in New York right now with Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. Tom Brady was not taking orders from Matt Nagy and Bill Lazor as his offensive coordinator. He was going to come in and tell them, this is how we're going to do everything. That shit wasn't going to slide.
Yeah, that'd have been definitely funny to watch him take calls from Bill Lazor, 6-time Super Bowl champion. Let me tell you how to run offense.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to happen.
Let's let this die. Let's please let this die. I'm sick of talking about Tom Brady, and I like Tom Brady. Tom Brady is he's my GOAT. You know,
I think he's doing much better in the booth too.
Yeah, he's getting comfortable up there. But in terms of anything Chicago Bear related, no.
He said he would have broke all the Bears records by week 7, probably.
Probably, but not leave the flashcards at the crib. As soon as I saw 10 million, I was like, oh, ain't no way in hell you was coming here for 10.
We gonna wrap these last 10 minutes up here with Braggs here on the Local Wild, man. We gotta unfortunately talk about the state of Chicago baseball. As he said, y'all can have it. I mean, if you want to take a little 10-minute break, it's on you. Even though we're not really going to be talking X's and O's. But the thing here is with the White Sox, I said on this show 13 months ago that I was giving them up. And I did. I'm talking about to the T. I follow their ass on Instagram. So I don't have any emotional attachment to what has happened these last whatever months. But the White Sox finished 41-121. Yes, that is the worst record in the long history of Major League Baseball. Before we get to the Cubs, I'm gonna get a floor to brag this one because honestly, Cub fans honestly deserve to troll Sox fans for the amount of shit and I say we because I was part of it, that we talked after, when the rebuild was coming, for the rebuild to fail and for it to get just as bad as this. Braggs, I'm gonna give you the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely probably the newest low in Chicago sports history, right? And it's so bad that, like you said, most Sox fans don't even really give a shit. They're so beaten, I can't even troll them because they don't care. They're just laying there dead on the road. And so I get it, but at the same time, I mean, for them to have the most losses in baseball history and that last week of home games, where all of a sudden Sox fans started coming back to the stadium to try to see if the team was going to break the record. They wanted to be there for history, and they're rooting for it to be a scarlet letter on Jerry Reinsdorf. They're not rooting for their team that they love to have this record. They want Jerry to hold this record because of the disdain they have for him. So I totally get the mindset there, but at the same time, it's like this surreal thing where Sox fans are booing the team, the White Sox, on the field for winning games, and then the team is winning in spite of the to spite the fans for coming out to watch them lose. And
that was the most White Sox shit ever. And I personally think I've been accused of talking down to some White Sox fans. I thought that was pathetic. I'm sorry, I don't boo them because they won. I want to be a part of the worst team ever. What part of it? What did Avon say? That ain't how the game is played. You can't do that. I didn't understand that.
Well, and Jerry Reinsdorf going to keep, cashing his checks. He's going to keep counting his money. And the other thing too is you're like, I want Jerry Reinsdorf to have this on his resume. Okay, he'll take that to his deathbed, I guess. But his deathbed ain't that far away. Like, you're going to be a fan the rest of your life, so you're going to have to wear this a lot longer with jokesters like me continuing to remind you of this. Yeah. Reinsdorf will be dead and gone. And I've always said this, like, players come and go, coaches come and go, even owners come and go. Fans are forever. So You're asking for something. You're like sideways rooting for something that now you're going to have to wear as a fan the rest of your life. And you might try to be apoplectic about it right now and ignore it, but there will come days where you get continually reminded of it, like Lions fans on their 0-16 season. Like, you're always going to wear that. And so, worst team in baseball history, certainly the newest low in the history of Chicago sports.
Now, Mikey, Dante, y'all never got off the boat. Y'all stayed there like strong soldiers. Mikey, I'm going to give you the floor. How do you feel right now?
Oh, well, hold on now. I did get off the boat. I made a lot of money fading them and taking anytime Chris Flexen is pitching, Tuki Tucson is pitching. I made a lot of money, okay? We're good. But, for me, like I said, I love baseball. Whether it's good baseball, bad baseball, I love baseball. That's my number one sport. So I would tune in from time to time. Like, I think the only positive that came out of this year for the White Sox was obviously the emergence of Garrett Crochet as a starter. You're talking about somebody that we all questioned when the press release came out like 2 days before opening day, that Garrett Crochet would be the opening day starter. But then for him to end up, doing what he did, coming off of Tommy John, representing, the AL, And the White Sox, as an all-star, that wasn't a sympathy everybody gets in. Like, no, like there was legitimate discussion about him starting that game, going into the all-star game. These motherfuckers drive crazy down my block. But
Chicago.
right, I was living on South Beach for too long. I forgot what it was like. But it's just a shit product. Obviously, I agree with both of you. They just really wanted Jerry to wear this more than the team. But I won't even speak on this year. I just look at the outlook. This team is not winning 75 games, 80 games for at least 5 years. The cupboard is bare. They really have 0 position players of note to look forward to. Luis Robert more than likely will be traded. Garrett Crochet will be traded. Colson Montgomery will eventually come up, but he doesn't, he didn't really take off as we all thought. He didn't even garner, a September call-up this year. So I really don't see anything to be positive within the next 5 years with this White Sox. Obviously, then the pitching that they do have. But, it was total bullshit. My mom's been a season ticket holder for a while. I told her last year, like, dead that shit, save money, use it to take trips. I have no intention of going to a game. And this year, I actually didn't go to any White Sox games. But I will switch over to the Cubs side because somebody here said, if Counsell was our manager in 2023, I don't know, I say 10 or 12 more wins. That is a Mr. Hey, Alex, we see you.
Alex,
do you know what the 2023 Chicago Cubs record? Do you know what the Chicago 2023 Cubs record was? They were 83 and 79. Oh. Do you know what the 2024 Chicago Cubs record was? 83 and 79. It's not better over there. Yes, you have beautiful amenities outside the ballpark. And the milk walking around the stadium is fucking exquisite. But that is it. Dansby Swanson, a fucking bum. It's not that much brighter over there. The Milwaukee Brewers are doing everything better than you and spending half of the money. That's got to suck. White Sox, we already know Jerry's not going to pay money. Bryce Harper was on hands and knees begging to come to Chicago, whether it was the Cubs or the White Sox. Nope. Kyle Schwarber. Nope. Manny Machado. Nope. They went and signed 3 of his cousins. Never the actual player. We have actual, realistic viewpoints to our organization because we see him do it with both the Bulls and the White Sox. Cubs fans, absolutely unrealistic. This is the same group of people that sit in the stands and fucking go crazy when the ball's hit in the air and it's a pop-up to the fucking second baseman. Not everything's a home run. So just for me, welcome to hell with us. It's not any better. The Brewers have Willie Adames. He's having a magnificent year. He'll probably be top 6 in NL MVP voting. He's getting paid $10 million this year. And you know what's going to happen? The Brewers are going to let him walk, and they'll find another shortstop to replace him, and they will get that production out of their guys. They'll more than likely win the NL Central next year when they get Brandon Woodruff back, and the Cubs will still be stuck with Dansby Swanson's $175 million and without a closer. So enjoy Craig Counsell. That's all I got to say.
I got scared when he was reading that tweet. I was like,
did I say that?
Did I say this shit?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I didn't. Alex, totally. I would have never overhyped my team because I never do that in the season. Never. I've never been known to do that. So whatever. Yes, I honestly, the Cubs for a certain point were just as frustrating as the White Sox were, even though the White Sox were the worst team. But the Cubs were much more frustrating for a much different reason. It was like Groundhog Day. Every day they were losing the exact same way, and they were just completely pitiful. Last year I certainly had delusions that they could sign big ticket people like Shohei Ohtani. That was completely moronic for me to even entertain in my stupid, hopeless brain of mine. This year I will not be doing the same for the dreams of Juan Soto. So I will sit this offseason out and hope for the best. So I hope you're happy We're just as beaten down on the north side right now as you guys are, but it's a different kind of struggle on the north side for sure.
Dante,
this is why we go batshit crazy from September through January with the Bears. Save us. Save us. We need unity.
But they don't. But they don't.
Right.
We start attacking each other. We start attacking each other, even when they start winning. I don't know.
Me and Scott almost got into it yesterday talking about Justin Fields. I'm like, yo, Scott has PTSD. All we are doing is sharing the stats of the day. Showing
Mike is an asshole. You did it on purpose. And what made it funnier, Caleb Williams is literally right in front of me. And I'm like, man, what you talking about?
The last time Chicago got along was Club Dub. That season brought everybody together because that was a vibe. That was the most contagious vibe we've had in a while in this city. So we're not quite there yet with the Bears, but maybe once they start really hitting their stride, we'll start finding those vibes again.
And just when you think you got an escape, then you come Lonzo Ball steps up. You know what? I think I can play over tonight. Like it never ends. It never ends. But Dante, close us out. Then we gonna wrap this up.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you're a White Sox fan, to prepare to run this back next year. It's going to be another 100-loss season. The team is what it is. Like you said, if it weren't a large market like Chicago, I think we would be looking at a John Fisher situation. I think the league won't let him leave Chicago, so we're just literally just stuck in this rut. And you have to pray that they draft somebody that's good. But even with that, we know how their talent development has been. So, I mean, there's no reason to have hope. As much as we've tried to be optimistic, you think about that, the core of the last rebuild, half of them aren't on the MLB roster anymore. So it's literally half of them. Like they aren't on the roster no more. So it's fucking insane. So I mean, when you talk about the White Sox, it's just, all we got is those childhood memories of Frank Thomas and Ray Durham and Albert Bell of the boys. But other than that, bro, you just hold on to 05 because that's all you got. If you're the Cubs. If I was a Cubs fan, I would be pissed off because the Cubs have everything you need to be a large market successful ball club. And they teased you with that first run. And to get, finally get over that hump, you rebuild Wrigleyville, which is already, and I'm a Sox fan. I tell people all the time, if you want to go have a really good time, go to Wrigleyville. Like, it's great. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to watch a baseball game. Having that, you have free agents who want to come play here. And you're like, nah, we're gonna just try to go with these prospects. Like it's extremely frustrating. And then you pay that type of money for Craig Counsell, a manager. Nah, bro. I told y'all when they first did that. That was some bullshit. So they could sit here and say, well, we try, we got a manager to get the most out of our young talent. Like, nah, bro, spend the money. It's okay. You have the money. Matt Chapman just had a 4-WAR season, and you could have slid him to third base. It was an affordable contract. It was plenty of moves that they could have made outside of the big moves. So, this offseason is going to be interesting. You got Pete Alonso coming up. You got guys out there, outside of the Sotos that are going to get money and are, should be on the Cubs list. But I highly doubt it. So we're going to see.
You know what? When if you get to the 50-win threshold, then you can start worrying about anybody else in the Major League Baseball. All right, I've had enough. I tried to play nice. Enough. Win 50 games, then you're allowed to talk about other teams again. Until then, you're lucky you even got to 40.
Very, very, very good rebuttal, man. Braggs, it's always great to holler at you, my bro. Let them know where they can get in tune with you and everything y'all got going on CHGO, and of course it's your own brand.
Yeah, if you want to see excessive Taco Bell tweets, follow me on Twitter at GBraggsJr23 as I eat through my stress of my sports teams that I root for. Other than that, yep, we're on CHGO Sports, CHGO Bears every single day, pregame and postgame, doing some shows with Lance Briggs and Alex Brown now. They just joined our team as well. That's certainly an honor. I know for all of us, those are the core guys that we grew up watching. Definitely. And now they're hanging out next to us as coworkers, and Lance Briggs drives me insane every single week trying to get him ready to do a goddamn show. So it's great. No, I love those guys, and they're hilarious and high energy. So yeah, make sure you're checking us out on CHGO Bears and CHGO Sports, and it'll be a fun ride. We're going to be in London, so I make sure you guys make sure we link up when you guys are in London too. We'll have to find wherever you guys are. You guys come by our scene, you know, you're always welcome. You get my full support for everything you guys are doing over here. Appreciate you guys having me on and keep up the grind. Hopefully we get a fun season where they're in playoff contention in November and December and let Caleb Williams play in some truly meaningful games.
I will definitely be around in London. If it is not a Bears practice that I gotta do, I will be enjoying myself. So I am thoroughly looking forward to that, man. Bragg's definitely good to holler at you. When we come back, we're gonna take a quick 1 minute break. We'll be back for hour 2. We're gonna start with Overreaction Monday as we get into everything that happened in week 4 in the NFL, and then we've actually got baseball talk. Mikey, Dante, Courtney gonna lead the charge on our MLB Wild Card preview. We'll be right back.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour 2 here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Once again, shout out to our guy, Greg Braggs Jr. for joining us, getting all the local talk out the way. But now we're here to talk about teams that are not the Chicago Bears, man. It is week 4 recap. This is week 2 of our new segment, Overreaction Monday. Mike, you weren't here last week when we did this. It got rave reviews. It was quite hilarious. One of the funniest moments of the show happened during this segment last week. So we are here for Overreaction Monday. Basically, we just say anything that you want to overreact about for this week, or just the season in general, from what you based off what you've seen this week. Mike, you want to go? Who should I go first? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, take it up.
Okay, I got a couple overreactions here. Number one, I think, as we said on this show last Friday when we did our week 4 picks, was the Browns better not lose to the Las Vegas Raiders.
I
and
said
they did lose.
though. I said,
and yes, you did. They did lose to Gardner Minshew and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders team without Max Crosby, without Devontae Adams, and they lost. My overreaction is, and it might not even be an overreaction at this point, my overreaction is Deshaun Watson ain't going to make it to the rest of the season. I think they're going to find an out in that contract and get rid of that nigga this season. They are
release the tapes. Release the tapes.
Release the tapes, Guru. They're gonna find a way to get out of that contract, and it's gonna be full on Jameson Winston for the rest of the year. Because if you look at it, it's not even just the Deshaun Watson being Huff type thing. This is the team that's supposed to go to the playoffs, supposed to make a run. There's a team last year that made it to the playoffs, and mainly because Joe Flacco, but they've got to figure out a way to get this solved. And if this quarterback keeps playing this bad and you're losing very winnable games, there already been talks to them find a way to get out of it. They're going to really find a way to get out of it as well. My other overreaction, and it kind of goes to what Orlando said, the Jets stink. I definitely think that Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are not only going to miss the playoffs, I don't think they're going to win double-digit games. Like, this offense looks terrible. Like, it only looks somewhat okay against the Patriots. And you go out there and look what happened yesterday. I don't even think Bo Nix threw for 100 yards. And they still lost that game at home. It's not like this Broncos defense, the 2015 Broncos defense. Von Miller ain't coming out there under that door. You know, Danny Trevathan, you know, is it come out that door. Like, it's looking like it's a regular team. And Robert Salah is 100% about to be fired. And my final reaction, I hate to say this, it pains me so much to say this, but Dante was right, and I'm going to take it even further. I think the Minnesota Vikings have a great chance to win the NFC. I really, really think they do. The way they're playing, they completely slutted out the Packers last night. I don't care what the final score said. When you up that many points, stuff happens. We just get your leg off your hand off the steering wheel. They look great. Kevin O'Connell, I was preaching a good word of him this offseason, one of the best coaches in the sport. He said something himself last week that was so spot on. Organizations fail young quarterbacks more than young quarterbacks fail organizations. We forget that Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow. Like, he's not somebody who's this grizzly veteran who's been in the league 10 years. No, he's still young, and he's playing so well. The schemes and the defense schemes and the way that defense is playing. Brian Flores is going over there doing. You got Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones looking good, and of course, maybe the best receiver in football, Jets, Justin Jefferson. This looks like a team that I believe has a good chance to win the NFC, man. Who wants to go next?
I'm gonna go next because mine is real quick because it's based off what you just said. This is one of those future bets. We're going to come back to this in a while, but the 49ers are going to regret not keeping Sam Darnold. I said that when he got his opportunity out there. Like, talent-wise, we already know he's better than Brock Purdy, and this is not me trying to shit on Brock Purdy. But I think as you see him getting coached up, which he was doing with Kyle Shanahan, I think this is a quarterback, like we said, bro, he has all the talent in the world. He can make any throw. And some of the throws he was making yesterday, that's when that was going to be my original hot take. It's like, overreaction. Like, they're going to win the division. Like, I don't see a team in our division beating Minnesota right now the way that they're playing. Obviously, it's early, but the way Sam Darnold's throwing the ball, the way they can move the ball, the way, like you said, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football. That defense has been able to do some pretty amazing things. It's funny watching the scheme and watching Brian Flores and the way he does things because, like, it'll look like he's blitzing everybody and they drop back in their cover two. You see, there were games where I think he blitzes. He does have the highest blitz percentage in the league. I forgot what the percentage is, but it's up there. And so seeing everything they do with their scheme, they're tough to score on. It's going to be a very, very difficult time anytime you have to go into that building. And we know they can play anywhere. So I'm with you, bro. I think when we come back to this, Sam Darnold's going to be one of those guys where he has a career revival, and they're like, damn, we probably should have kept bro.
Bang. Hit us with your overreaction.
The Minnesota Vikings are going to win the NFC North. That is my overreaction right there. I think that based off of what I saw for the majority of that game that I was watching on Red Zone, they have the defense and they have the right things going on the offense that lets me know that they're going to win that division. They're going to beat Detroit when they play them. They might beat Green Bay one more time since they got to play them at home. But the Minnesota Vikings, the team that we thought was going to finish last, is going to finish first.
Mikey, the floor is yours.
So my biggest overreaction, the Baltimore Ravens will finish the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they will have home field throughout. I know that's lofty with the Chiefs being 4-0 right now and the Ravens being 2-2. But I think the version that we saw of the Baltimore Ravens last night, leaning on the run game, utilizing both backs, kind of that thunder and lightning, Derrick Henry, Justice Hill out of the backfield, being able to receive. And then Lamar was accurate yesterday. His offensive line gave him time, and he was able to make throws downfield. I think that they go on a nice run here. They got Cincinnati coming up. I have them beating the Bengals. They got the Commanders. They're going to bring the Commanders back down. Tampa Bay will be tough because you know how I am about teams traveling down to Florida, in the fall time. It is still extremely humid out there. But I think that they are going to go on a run because after that, they got the Browns, Broncos, Bengals again, Steelers, Chargers. I just think that by this point, they're going to go ahead and overtake the Chiefs. I think that we're going to be looking at a team that come November, they're looking at 8-2, like those 2 losses in the first week 1 and week 2 are the only blemishes that they have going deep on into the winter time. So I have the Baltimore Ravens being the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I thought. I had this later on the rundown, but I guess it's just perfect to talk about this now since you kind of gave me the lob for the Baltimore game. Talk about that. The Baltimore Ravens last night were able to get a nice blowout. So it's a nice blowout victory, I guess you would call it. Last night. 35-10. 35-10.
They had Trubisky time with 8 minutes left.
Trubisky did come. I did tweet that. I said it's time to get ready for Monday, ladies and gentlemen. If David Trubisky is coming out 35-10 last night. Well, number one thing that kind of stood out to me was just how fast that Derrick Henry still is. Like what did Tosin say on Friday? He was on there. He said, I want to see what's gonna happen when Derrick Henry run up when DeMar Hamlin tries to run up on Derrick Henry. Well, Nick, we saw it.
Business decisions were made.
Business decisions were made last night in this victory. Like I said, Lamar Jackson was efficient, 13 of 18, 156 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry almost had 200 yards on the ground off 24 carries. That's old school football right there. Old school football, 24 carries, 1 touchdown. I think the thing that I took from this more than the actual score was the Bills might be knocked down a little bit back to reality a little bit. Like, they had those nice 3 wins, but they were able to, when you go up a class, you go up against a heavyweight, things are a little different. I'm gonna go back to that in a second, but Courtney has joined us here. I wanted Courtney to get her overreaction Monday. First of all, if you're not in tune, follow Courtney, 1-800-CALL-IT BRO. Courtney, how you feeling?
It's still hot as hell in Texas. It is not fall. It's not fall, but I'm doing okay. Happy to be here, guys. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. It's always hot in Texas. When I was there a couple weeks ago, it was blazing. The humidity was ridiculous. But we gave our overreaction from this past Monday. I didn't want you not have yours. What's your overreaction that you have from these Week 4 games?
The Saints are fucking cooked. It was
a good run.
It was a good 2-week run. Those were special times, but they are so fucking cooked. Just give me Spencer Rattler right now, because I'm ready for it. Let's just call it. Before we get into it, let's just call it.
Yeah, you're ready for the Spencer Rattler era.
Been ready, to be clear, but Derek Carr had me fooled. He had me fooled for 2 weeks.
Now, is it Derek Carr or is it has the play calling going? I really haven't had a chance to actually sit down and watch the Saints.
I'm putting it on Derek Carr. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey, somebody's got to fall on the sword, and it is him. No touchdowns and an interception, and the stat line is nasty.
That's just nasty work. This is nasty work. And I know, Dante, were you at the game yesterday?
Yeah, I was.
How were the vibes? You seen
it was actually a great game. I did not see a fight live and up close. There were a couple fights though that did happen. But like as usual, which is weird, it'd be Falcon fans fighting each other. And they won yesterday, so that was kind of crazy. But it was a great game. The Saints are done. Like Alvin Kamara, I know it's you love the rivalry, but playing with broke ribs, it's a long season, brother. You should have, probably sat this one out. Yeah, so we're gonna see how that affects him in the long run. But nah, man, I agree with Courtney. The Saints are out of here. This is gonna be a 2-team race for the division, because I think the games that the Falcons have lost, if Kirk Cousins can actually move, like once he gets comfortable, because like a lot of the plays, he's a sitting duck. Like he can't bootleg, he can't roll out, he can't. That limits the offense. So if Kirk, gets comfortable back there, can get a little more mobile, starts to finally, feel more comfortable, I think the Falcons can still be a dangerous team. Like Kyle Pitts is fucking horrible, but
yeah, I was about to say it might be kind of time to put the Kyle Pitts thing to bed.
But Mooney's nice though. Mooney was a nice addition for him and Drake London, and they've really been doing their thing. So it's gonna be a 2-team race. It's gonna be a good NFC South will be good, but the Saints won't be involved in that.
And those 2 teams actually play on Thursday Night Football this week. Thursday Night Football, Falcons and Buccaneers. But back to Ravens, Bills. I think what I was saying about the Bills was, when they play in a different weight class. I think the thing that stood out to me more than anything wasn't Josh Allen's play. Like Josh Allen wasn't bad, but he wasn't good in it. 16 to 29, 180 yards passing, no touchdowns, no picks. But it was the defense for the Ravens. Like we always talk about, it's not a lot of no-name receivers on the Bills. They got that rookie Keon Coleman, even though he had a touchdown. This not a touchdown, but had a good game. Keon Coleman had a nice 51 yarder. It was like a deep ball he caught. That was a really good catch. But he also dropped one too. But that's rookie stuff. But it was just the defense of the Ravens that kind of stood out to me because they were locking those wide receivers up. It's not like Josh Allen didn't have time to throw. He had time to throw. This was nobody open. So I'm not going to fully get off the Bills bandwagon, But the Ravens are in a different class. And we set up here 2 weeks ago. We did our who should be more worried thing about the Ravens or the Bengals. It's obvious that the Ravens are getting it together. They're 2-2 right now. And I feel like they're actually kind of establishing a little bit more of their identity and realizing that, you've got Derrick Henry. Use him. I can't wait for next week's game. That's going to be a big game in Baltimore against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. That's going to be good. But I really feel like the Ravens kind of got in the form and kind of started to play like the team that we expect them to play. They're going to take that loss to the Chiefs, and they're going to take that terrible loss to the Raiders, put it behind them, and kind of go on. They got a tough schedule. It's not, next 2 games are real tough. But I feel like they're going to do the right direction. Courtney, what did you see from the Ravens last night? And, I think you said that they were going to be fine. What did you like that you saw from last night in that game?
Honestly, again, my biggest takeaway was mostly about Derrick Henry and just watching how well he's fit into that offense for Baltimore. And like I said it before, I know Jerry Jones has to be just fucking kicking himself watching that man go off for them right now. It's got to be.
Go to Mike. Well, Mike, you already talked about my bad. Mike, you already talked about the Ravens, but Bang, go ahead.
Man, boy, when you look at the team that the Ravens have, I'm not there like Mikey is. I'm not there yet, but man, if they put it together in the playoffs, that might be a team that can knock off Kansas City or anybody else. If and when they get the run game on full tilt. Because even though Henry went off yesterday, there was a struggle for these first couple of weeks on how they was using him. And then you get to the Dallas game, you get this one. So if they could get this on full tilt and that offense on full tilt, because it's still a little iffy around Mark Andrews. He dropped the ball yesterday. When it comes to Scott and his black quarterbacks thing.
Oh, okay, here we go. I knew this was coming.
If Lamar Jackson can erase a lot of those issues that he has in the postseason, this is a team that really truly can win the Super Bowl. So,
Dante, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Ravens have been one of the most consistent franchises, of our adult lives. They're a very well put together team, and I agree. It's just we know what Lamar is going to do. We know what that defense is going to do. It's just a matter of the matchups when it comes to playoff time. I think this is a team that's always going to be in contention. So as they just, like I said, I wasn't really concerned with them out the gate. I know everybody picked them. I picked the Bengals. But I think as long as you got Lamar Jackson, keeping him healthy, that was one issue that they had last season. And I think even, some of that had to do with the whole contract and everything. So that's why. But keeping them healthy, keeping them upright, making sure everything's solid on their offensive line, I think they can go a long way. And now this is a team that, will contend for the Super Bowl.
Next topic, man. This might actually kind of go a little bit overreaction Monday, a little bit. The Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, they did win last night. Got a nice road win against the Chargers. Even though they lost, I've been actually kind of impressed with the way that Harbaugh has coached them up. I think they were pretty competitive. Chiefs only won 17-10, but you got Rasheed Rice. He look like he's going to have a torn ACL. Hasn't got 100% confirmed, but you're dealing with that. You already have the injuries to Hollywood Brown. You already got the injuries to Isaiah Pacheco. My take is this. I'm a little concerned about the Chiefs, despite the fact that they are 4-0, they're the defending champions. All they want to do is get to the playoffs, and they'll give themselves a fighting chance. But you're seeing too many of their weapons go down, and it's to the point where Pat ain't been looking like Pat. And I'm not going to do the Twitter thing and say, oh, he's, you give him the same shit you give Jalen Hurts. No, you're not. He's Patrick Mahomes. If anybody deserves a pass, it's Patrick Mahomes. But he ain't been playing like Pat. He threw a couple BLTs out there. He's been throwing a couple BLTs in general this season. And I feel like long term, I think the season they'll be fine. They'll win the division with no problem. But the injuries kind of concern me when it comes to the playoffs because they don't know if this is a torn ACL. Rice is out for the year. Now you got two of your main offensive weapons out for the remaining year. And then Isaiah Pacheco, he might be out for the rest of the year. They don't know 100% how long he's going to be out. That's a problem, especially you got Travis Kelce, who's doing more, who's doing peacock movies and instead of actually dominating on the field, I think he's washed. That's a problem that I see going on. And my overreaction is that they might be looking at a wild card exit if they can't find a way to get this together. And on the side note, if you are watching baseball, we're going to talk about baseball in just a minute. The Braves just put two more runs up. They're 3-0 on the Mets in the top of the 7th inning. We'll be talking about baseball in just a minute. But Mikey, what do you think about the Chiefs? Am I right in my concerns, or do you think they're going to be all right?
No, I think you're right in your concerns. I think there's only so long that no matter who the quarterback is, that a team can continue to take these type of hits on one side of the ball. I know Andy Reid is probably one of the greatest offensive minds that this league has seen, and Patrick is on a trajectory to be probably the greatest quarterback ever. But when you lose Hollywood Brown, you never really got him in the first place, but you lose him and you lose Rashee Rice, who was making strides and proving, that he is that wide receiver that they took at the end of the first round and being that number 1 wide receiver for them. You lose Pacheco. They're going to have to make a trade out there. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to get creative because it does seem a little bit it seems like it's an uphill battle for them to kind of score points lately. My thing is, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to a play needing to be made, they always find a way. And that's just championship habits. That's having the right guys on the team, having game records on both sides, and Mahomes and, Chris Jones. But offensively, the outlook for this team it's looking bleak, because I won't say Travis Kelce is washed, because I still think that he can be something in the passing game. I just think this is what happens when tight ends get old. It's not a position where he's a wide receiver and he's 195 pounds and he can still go out there and run routes. Like, he's a bigger guy that's taking a beating. They've obviously played deep into into the season, the last however many seasons since Pat's been there, 4 years, 5 years. So I just think we're kind of seeing just kind of like that war of attrition on their bodies. I mean, if you look across to the NFC, you're kind of seeing the same thing with the San Francisco 49ers. Both teams obviously are battling severe injuries to key guys, and it's just, so much wear and tear on their body. So for me, honestly, I just think that they're going to have to make a move, because it is going to be a little bit of struggle for them to get creative to score points.
Big shout out to everybody watching us on my Instagram Live right now. Shout out to the Instagram Live watchers. Bang, you said that you were taking the field this year. I'm pretty sure that you're more confident in your field prediction right now.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
The only reason why I'm not is because of last year. We saw this team in a similar situation, except they were dropping balls. Now bodies are dropping, right? But they always seem to get it right. I'm still picking the field, of course, but it's not making me feel better about taking the field. Nah, because it's still Patrick Mahomes that's over there. They're 4-0. They're undefeated right now, and they've been huffed.
Yeah.
Imagine when they get it together. Now, can they get it together? It remains to be seen. I err on the side of yes, they can, because look what they have done. But, yeah, no, it doesn't make me more comfortable in that, because at the end of the day, it's still the Chiefs, man.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that I'm not switching up on my, I'm still going to roll with Pat. I'm giving Pat the Brady treatment to actually see that nigga lose. I'm going to keep picking him. But I said in the beginning of the season that, I wanted some drama for them. At first, I said they needed a little like a scandal, like, Travis Kelce cheats on Taylor Swift for like a Chiefs cheerleader or some shit like that. But this will do. This is good drama field information here for them to maybe get over that. I think when you have Patrick Mahomes, I think when you have Andy Reid, you have a team that's been there multiple times over these last 5 years. They know what it takes to get it done. So I wouldn't say that I'm completely off them, but it wouldn't shock me either, because there's a reason that this has never been done in NFL history for. It's hard. It's extremely hard, and teams just usually don't get it done. So I think that this is any time. Last year, they just weren't playing well. They didn't have the personnel. This year, they've got the personnel. They're just hurt. So I think that's the biggest question for me when it comes to them, man. Let's go on to our next topic. The Washington Commanders. They are playing some great football right now. They're 3-1. Just had a big blowout dub over Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., and the Arizona Cardinals last night, 42-14. That game was not close whatsoever. Jaden Daniels had another amazing game, 26 for 30, 233 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. The touchdown he did throw was a dart. And then the 2-point conversion afterwards was after a dart. The running game has really been going well. Cliff Kingsbury is really calling a good game. They ran for 216 yards on the ground yesterday, and that resulted in 4 touchdowns. And you can see the confidence growing in Jaden Daniels. You can see the team really rallying around him. I love these post-game videos when they give out the game ball. And Dan Quinn gave the game ball to Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury winning in a place for a team that he was the head coach. A team that a lot of people to this day still blame him for that team not getting anywhere. And to go out there and get that win was a big deal for him. I also love to see Doug Williams embracing Jaden Daniels. That's just contrary to probably believe I hate black quarterbacks bullshit. That was great to see them being embraced. And I'm a fan of what I've seen for Jaden Daniels. I think they're the clear-cut favorite for the NFC East. The Cowboys stink, the Eagles stink, and the Giants are generationally bad. They can really make some more noise, not just in the NFC East, but in the NFC. Courtney, you said that in the preseason that the Commanders were going to be an annoying team. Are they still an annoying team, or are they more a good team to you now?
Oh no, I've seen it. And Cliff Kingsbury, I apologize. I wasn't familiar with your game. Maybe you weren't the problem, bud. I'm just saying, maybe you weren't the problem. Maybe it was that quarterback in Arizona, and we can get into that later. But yeah, I mean, the Commanders are looking for real. I'm curious. Their bye week isn't until like week 14.
Look at it right now. Yeah, they don't have a bye week until.
That's kind of what worries me. Is that's a lot of games for a rookie quarterback. But I mean, hey, trial by fire. I'm excited. I'm all in on Jaden Daniels. So.
Mikey, you said last night, you said, I don't care about the, what you want to take away from Jaden and, I guess the critiquing of him, that he's been great and this team looks really, really good. Tell me what you've seen from the team in general, but more specifically Jaden, and what you like that you've seen.
Yeah, what I said basically was just, I'm not gonna, obviously I'm a Bears fan and I want Caleb to be the best quarterback in this draft. But I'm not going to shit on what is being, what is taking place over in DC with Jaden Daniels. He looks extremely poised. That's the number one thing I'll say is he just looks poised in the pocket. He looks comfortable out there, and his offensive coordinator is putting him in advantageous positions to utilize his skill sets. The design runs work. The quick, short passing game works. And you see that he really does kind of have just he's got something special about him, and there's nothing I could do to take away from him. Dan Quinn obviously is a hell of a coach. That is a guy that's been to a Super Bowl. That's been to a guy that's manned some special players while he was with the Seattle Seahawks. Cliff Kingsbury. Now, I don't know, Courtney, if we can go all the way in saying it wasn't his fault with Arizona. I just think some guys are better off in their natural position as being, a play caller than being the GM of 53 men and having to do everything else that comes with being a head coach. But, they don't have nearly the weapons that some other teams have. Terry McLaurin is obviously very underrated. Brian Robinson Jr. was great coming out of college. He had the setback. He had the setback with, being shot, but obviously he's healthy now. But they just look good, But I do want to see what this looks like against the better defensive units and what it looks like against teams that can really kind of go blow for them. I mean, we saw the Bengals go blow for them. If it wasn't for them settling for a field goal instead of a touchdown, one drive, then the Bengals probably win that game. So I want to see what it looks like in a couple weeks when they head over to to Baltimore, and they play the Ravens. I want to see what it looks like when they go up against the Chicago Bears defense. And I want to see what it looks like when teams start to adjust with the fact that if you look at Jaden Daniels' success in the pocket and a lot of the things they're doing in the passing game, it's very Mitch Trubisky-esque of all on the right side of the field. So I want to see what it looks like when teams kind of take that away and kind of force him to throw to that left side of the hash and, really force him to play the quarterback position in ways that obviously the 4 previous teams haven't. I want to see what it looks like when it gets uncomfortable for them. Obviously, they had a ridiculous streak of like 16 straight possessions where they scored, whether that being a field goal or a touchdown. So I want to see what it looks like when they, go through some adversity, but they are a good team. I won't say that they are the favorites to win the NFC East yet. I still think some of the veteran-laden teams and the Eagles and the Cowboys will find a way there, but they definitely have my attention.
Dante, are you ready to give Dan Quinn love? That's a fine.
No,
Yeah.
I was trying not to cuss, bro, but no. One thing I will say though, Dan Quinn picks great coordinators. Dan Quinn is very good at picking coordinators and empowering them to do their jobs and do them well. That's why he had success in Atlanta for the time that he did have success. So I like what they're doing out there in DC. And I think a few people have said it. I think Bang said it as well. I think this is a team that, maybe they're just not as bad as we thought they were on paper. Coming into the season, we all expected them to really struggle. And that hasn't been the case. I've loved what I've seen from Jaden Daniels. Just him always looking comfortable, always looking in control of the moment, and he never looks overwhelmed. So it's going to be interesting to see how they continue to develop this thing going forward. I do think they need another receiver. Him and Scary Terry are starting to show some good chemistry, but you can always build on that and add more weapons. But no, bro, I think the Commanders are a very solid team, and you do have to tip your cap to Dan Quinn, whether I wanted him to be the Bears coach or not.
Bang, used to live in the DC area. Have you heard from your friends out there in DC how they feeling?
Oh, they happy than motherfucker. I ain't never seen. Shouts out to all of the homies from the DMV, especially my homie Rick Chill. Shouting you out specifically because you had a bad week because you lost to me at the Jive Fantasy Football joint. We lost. And I was upset because anytime he loses to me, he puts it in the chat to explain why he's pissed by losing to me. And I said, you should be focusing on Jaden Daniels. And as soon as I put that, the mood changed. Everybody was like, yeah, you're right. They are happy. They have not been this hopeful in the quarterback position since RG3. And from what they tell me, they were still a little iffy about that. So you could go back years, fam. It has been years since they felt like they have their guy. And they're excited. You thought we was excited during the draft? No, they are ecstatic. There's a number of ways that I could spin this that might be derogatory. So I'll just say that they're ecstatic. But I also picked the Washington Commanders to be my surprise team in the NFC this year. So I'm not really surprised at what's going on as a team and as a record. I am shocked and surprised at how efficient Jalen Daniels has been. He's been efficient as shit. And the fact that they've barely punted this year, Tress Way. So for y'all to understand, Tress Way has probably been the best player on the Commanders for a number of years now. That's the punter, y'all. He ain't playing. He's chilling. Got a nice little contract, and he's sitting on the sidelines because the offense is out there killing it. So, not surprised at the record. I am surprised at how efficient the quarterback is. But, hey, the DMV is happy right now, and I can't blame him.
Shout out to the DMV. I really enjoyed that time I was in DC. I had a real good time out there, man. But, Bang, you can take your little 30-minute break because we're going to talk some baseball.
All right, man. I'll talk to y'all later.
He will be back when we wrap up the show to talk some college football, and then I will give my take on the Karl Anthony Towns trade. But This is the time of year where my three co-hosts here, they really shine. They have amazing baseball minds. I think I know enough. These three make me sound like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about anything baseball, and I've watched baseball for a long time. That's how how great these three are. So, as we're getting ready to watch this, the wild card round begins tomorrow afternoon. I think it's 2:32 Eastern time for the first playoff game. We're gonna go through the 4 playoff series, and looks like Atlanta is 3 outs away from clinching their playoff spot. Who would they be facing if they
could
win?
happen right now, though.
No, I ain't say it's over. I ain't say it's over. I ain't said from what we saw from the first game.
Yeah,
not gonna happen. But let's just if okay. Here's the question: if the Mets somehow come back and win, who do the D-backs play? Or if the Braves hold it down, who do they play?
So if the score, go ahead. Yeah. So if the score holds right now, then the Braves will be going to San Diego, and the Mets will be going to Milwaukee. If the Mets were to win, then it's reverse. Mets going to San Diego, D-backs going to Milwaukee. If we'll just go with it that this score holds at 3-0, it looked like the Mets just want to get out of there healthy. Not Joey Lucchesi gave them 6 great innings. Only really gave up 1 run. Grant Holmes came in, against the B squad lineup, but 7 Ks, 1 hit, 6 innings for the Braves. So what we would be looking at right now is the Mets playing tomorrow in Milwaukee. Mind you, they did just finish a 3-game series with them this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, in which the Brewers took 2 of 3 from them. On the season, the Brewers are 5-1 against the Mets this year. And then the Padres are 4-3 against the Braves. So both teams who have had, the rest since Sunday evening do have the upper hand. They will be playing on 1 day of rest. They get to sleep in their beds. And, the Braves and the Mets are both coming off of playing a doubleheader today. And, one in which, Edwin Diaz he pitched yesterday and kind of what was not a meaningless game because you needed that win, but he pitched in a 5-0 Mets win. Then he went and pitched the 8th and the 9th today. You pretty much got to say he's down for tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. And the Padres right now have actually released their wild card rotation. Okay. So they will be going with Michael King to start game 1, Joe Musgrave for game 2, and Dylan Cease, if necessary, for game 3. And this first round is best out of 3, right?
Best out of 3. You want to say major breaking news? Baseball legend Pete Rose just died. Pete Rose just died.
Oh shit!
At 83 years old. TMZ just tweeted it out.
And the Diamondbacks are out.
The Braves just won. So
there's a deep drive by Castellanos to left field.
Yeah.
That was a deep drive by Castellanos. Oh man. First of all, RIP Pete Rose. Say what you want to say about the gambling. That dude was a legend, one of the greatest baseball players to ever play. So definitely much love and respect out to his family. I know this kind of put a bomb on in any Pete Rose. So I don't want to just move on like, nigga down, go on baseball. Any Pete Rose thoughts? Before we move on.
I met Pete Rose in Vegas at an autograph signing. He was, I think, maybe a little sauced. I don't know if the man was sober. I don't know if that was a thing or not, but I think he was a little lit. A character. He was a character. I'm not speaking negatively. The man was an absolute character. And we had a funny little exchange while he signed a picture, and it's up there somewhere. But RIP. Seemed like a nice guy. Just I guess when you live that long and you've seen and done so much, I know people say that like older people don't give a fuck, but like he kind of epitomized for me as far as like former players that I've met in my life of somebody who just truly didn't give a fuck. You got to respect that.
Yeah, he reminded me of that old guard, the old guard of baseball. Where you envision players smoking a heater in the dugout, drinking beers in between games, kind of being up all night. Obviously, we know about the gambling. But we'll just keep it just the on-field. He was a machine. He was a hell of a hitter, a hell of a baseball player, hell of a hitter. I personally felt they should have let him into the Hall of Fame. And I always hate when players passed before kind of getting that honor. I know that baseball is the one sport where, you know, the commissioners kind of uphold what previous commissioners before them put into legislation, and they're very old guard. But yeah, you know, rest in peace to him. You know, he lived a hell of a life, you know, and if anybody hasn't seen it, check out the documentary on HBO. He was, you know, one delusional motherfucker. He was crazy. He was straight up like he was a crazy motherfucker. So rest in peace to him. You know.
Yeah, no, like you said, pathological liar, a lot of things. But I mean, in terms of playing baseball, he was amazing. I thought it was hilarious in that documentary how much Johnny Bench really does not like that man.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like he does not like that man. But a loss for the baseball community. I agree. It sucks that he didn't get reinstated to be, you know, eligible for the Hall of Fame. But at the same time, the Reds have honored him. The Phillies have honored him. I think he's in both teams Hall of Fame and Ring of Honor, whatever they have. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't talk about the Cincinnati Reds and not think of Pete Rose. That's just when you are that good at what you do, your legacy is cemented with the people. So, you know, like I said, a complicated figure at the end of the day, but at the same time, one of the greatest to ever do it. And so he'll definitely be missed in that regard.
I think very well said by you three. Very, very, very well said. I'd say RP Pete Rose. That's really all I got. As I'm watching the field right now,
I didn't want to say nothing. I didn't want to be insensitive, you know.
No, this thing about insensitive.
Why are these boys about to party?
No. Okay.
No, well, hold on. Major League Baseball mandated that neither team, that no team, regardless who won game 1 or who won game 2, the winner of that game, they were not allowed to celebrate. In between that game, they weren't allowed to kind of go through whatever. And I think each team, you play 162 of these things. It literally came down to game 162. They deserve the right to party, but they better hurry the fuck up because
brother, the Braves gotta be in San Diego ready to play tomorrow. You do that shit on the plane.
Oh, but no, trust me, that plane.
1986 Mets.
That plane is gonna be a
that plane is already. That plane already gassed up, stocked, and ready to go. We made sure that this morning. So that plane is ready to rock.
You don't need to do this shit in the clubhouse. Get on the plane.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna do more just throwing a couple beers around. They're not gonna sit there and get slapped because they do got a game. They gotta get to their
right. I throw a couple beers, roll one up right quick, and you know, and both teams got ahead. You know, the Mets could have left their shit in the hotel in Milwaukee that they just left last night.
Well, the Mets got the paper out. They got the plastic out. So they finna get out. They got the plastic out. There's a couple things that said. First of all, one, Courtney, to me, this thing about when people die, we ain't got a lot because the person died. That's why I'm glad y'all kept the G. Like, the nigga one shit. Like,
also, just to be clear, I googled it because I didn't want us to get sued. Pete Rose was not sober. So yeah, he was definitely sloshed when I met that man.
He sloshed. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like if people die, we still keep it a bean. Like, you know, like they really wasn't shit. Like, but you know, anyway. But that was funny to me. I've never seen 2 parties going at one time after a game. Like,
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
We're going this locker room. You're going here. So all 4 series are set. The Orioles will be hosting the Kansas City Royals. The Astros will be hosting the cardiac Detroit Tigers. Very happy. Very, very happy for Jason Benetti. The Brewers will be hosting the New York Mets. And the Padres will be hosting the Atlanta Braves. We'll start with the first series. We've got the Orioles and the Royals. The Royals had a really, really good season. They were leading that whole wild card chase really for almost the entire season, being the second team, in their division, really going well. They went 86-76 to win. The Orioles came in second in the AL East. They went 91-71, so they'll be hosting this series. Courtney, I'm gonna go to you first. Who do you got in this series and why?
I mean, this is still one of those series that's I feel like I change my answer every time I go back and look at it. I want to say it's the Orioles haven't been particularly hot as of late. And y'all know I have been saying from the beginning of the season that the Royals were my sleeper team and that if they got the opportunity to get in this position, that's a scary team to see in a possible best of 3 series. Or not a best of 3, excuse me, best of 5, but, winner take 3. That's a scary, scary rotation to see. Man, Give me the Royals. Give me the Royals. Give me the Royals this year. It's 2015, baby.
Courtney.
I'm sorry.
Let me break something down to you. When you have teams from the AL Central, you know, we have this benefit of called beating up on shitty teams. And the Kansas City Royals were 12-1 against the White Sox this year. And that pretty much bolstered their record. Like, I don't want to take anything away from them because they are a very good young team. But I think it's one of those situations where it's a young team that's just not ready to take that next step yet. And they're coming up against a team in Baltimore that is ready to take that step.
Yo,
so
we got breaking news, y'all.
Oh, what no?
We got breaking news considering that we talking about baseball. According to TMZ, MLB legend Pete Rose.
Bang, G, bang, bang, G. Oh my fucking God.
You just
What the?
You just did what you do in the group chat.
We are not laughing because Pete Rose is dead.
Bang just came with the Facebook link in real time.
No, I just felt kind of jealous because I was listening to y'all. And I just want
really
to
weren't listening too well because we had a whole 10-minute.
No, I was listening. Oh my God. But I just wanted to jump in a bit and do what I normally do because I feel jealous about how y'all talking about baseball. And
well,
I'm not a part
you
of it.
could be a part of this conversation, bro.
That's the only time I could ever be a part of this shit. So I just want to do this shit to make everybody laugh, but send my condolences to Pete Rose because I'm not going to be able to do it on this episode. So back to y'all.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Go ahead, Dante. Go ahead.
But no, I just think right now that Baltimore team still very young, but I think they're ready to make that next step. And I think this is a statement. This is a way to make that statement, you know, stump on another young team. Like, hey, you know, we see y'all doing what we did, but right now we're going to show you that it is really our time to take that next step. So
who pitches game 2 for them?
Hold on. I just
Baltimore.
Mikey, you got it.
No, they haven't released it yet. It's going to be Corbin Burns. I think they would try
game 1, right? Against School.
Right. Yeah. No. Schoolboy is with the Astros.
Oh yeah. You're right.
It's gonna be Cole Ragans versus Corbin Burns in game 1. Game 2, the Royals will be throwing out Seth Lugo. The Orioles haven't announced who they're going to throw out yet. I think they would really like to win game 2 without having to throw Zach Eflin, because if they do that, then you set up your lineup where game 1 of the next round will be Eflin game 1, and you go right back to Burns game 2. You know, and I don't want to. I know you've been busy at work, Courtney. I don't want to bring you down a little bit, but the Orioles were 7-3 their last 10, and they finished the last week 5-1. Taking 2 from the Yankees, beating up on the Twins. So they are, and the bats were hot. They were putting up about 8 runs a game. So
how's Sadly looking?
I have no idea. All I know is Ryan O'Hearn has been popping up on my phone every other day, hitting 2-run home runs. And Anthony Santander is a beast. But I'm gonna ride with the Orioles on this one. I think the Royals. Great season. Bobby Witt Jr. has carried them. Salvi Perez. We've seen what they've been able to do offensively. But I just think that their pitching doesn't line up in a short series versus this hot of a Baltimore Orioles team right now. I think Baltimore is exactly where they wanted to be after last year. If we're being frank, the Baltimore Orioles pissed down their leg last year against the Rangers. They had opportunities to win that series, and they did not. And that was their inexperience. That was their youth. There were some costly mistakes. Gunnar Henderson running, trying to steal second base when they didn't need him to steal second base, and being that out against the Rangers there. I think this year they're exactly where they want to be. I think they will go ahead and take on this young Royals team. I don't think it'll necessarily be easy, but I do think that they end up beating the Royals, and then we'll see what they're made of going further. I don't like them advancing past this first round because they just do not have the pitching. Obviously, Grayson Rodriguez with the lat injury being out dampers that rotation. They traded Kyle Stowers and Connor Norby for Trevor Rogers, and Rogers was immediately sent down after 3 starts because it just wasn't working. They don't have a back-end closer. They DFA'd Craig Kimbrell last week before the end of the season after another blown save. I just don't like how their pitching lines up in what would be 7-game series. But I will take the Orioles in this first round.
Shout out. We got 1,000 people in the chat right now. Shout out to everybody in the chat watching for the baseball preview. I obviously missed a joke according to the chat. So,
yeah, Bang came in here on some Bang.
Bang came from the top rope.
I was jealous of them talking their baseball, and I wasn't going to be able to be involved in how y'all had the Pete Rose conversation without me. At least I could talk about Pete Rose. Like, God damn.
But he thought he was breaking news.
No, I knew I wasn't breaking news, though. I knew I wasn't breaking news. I'm like, damn, somebody could have texted me. It was like, though,
Hey, I saw.
Come join.
Real time,
come join the Pete Rose conversation. You at least know him.
Yeah, that's my bad. I didn't look down at the screen. I thought you wasn't even
like, man. Who can at least join that one? You just watched the documentary, didn't you?
Man, let's go to the second AL series going on in the wild card. That is the Houston Astros. These niggas have done it again. They have won the wild card appearance once again. They are, going to be taking on the Detroit Tigers, who just a month ago didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs. They went on an incredible run. Tariq Skubal won the pitching Triple Crown. He's been dominant. Everybody in Detroit's having a good time. Our guy, friend of the program, Chuck English, said on the show that he thought that the Tigers were going to make the playoffs, and they ended up making the playoffs here. Mikey, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think about this series? Do you think that the veteran experience of the Astros is going to be enough to win this series, or do you like Detroit?
Honestly, I do like the Tigers just because of the advantage of throwing Skubal game one. There's just something about the way AJ Hinch manages a team, particularly this young team that doesn't have overwhelming star power. This isn't the AJ Hinch run team with Altuve, Bregman, those guys back in the day. This is, with what was my man's name? Michael Brantley. This is a team being led by Riley Green, Matt Vierling, Spencer Torkelson, who they sent down to the minors.
Baby.
ASU, the former number 1 overall pick, who they sent down to the minors for legitimately 3/4 of the season, and called him back up. We don't have Javi Baez manning shortstop right now. Parker Meadows has come up and played great. Ibanez is hitting. They're just finding a way. They have since August 1st the best overall team pitching ERA, 2.81 ERA to lead the majors. And I just think it's a massive advantage when you can throw somebody like Tariq Skubal game one against Framber Valdez. Because the pressure will then be on the Astros if they can go ahead and win with their ace. AJ Hinch did come out and say today that it's Tariq Skubal pitching tomorrow and pitching chaos the rest of the way. I think they might go with Reese Olson game 2 and then possibly a bullpen game in game 3, but that can get extremely tricky for the Astros because they just called up Tyler Horton, who was their number 1 pitching prospect a couple weeks ago. Lefty, throws gas. If you go ahead and use him in an opener to go and sit down Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez 2 times through the lineup, that can be, that can win you a game right there. So I'm going to stick with my pick. I had the Astros not making the playoffs this year. Obviously, the Mariners shit down their legs. And that's on me, but I'm going to still go in with the same energy. I don't think that this Astros team will find a way to just beat destiny. Yordan Alvarez is hurt right now, and today's the first day that he's actually going to try to get some swings in and kind of run on the field. So they hope to have him, playing, but who knows there. So the pitching lines up pretty well for the Astros because you're looking at Framber Valdez game 1, and you're looking at a combination of Hunter Brown and Kikuchi, who's been lights out for them since they traded for him from the Blue Jays. But I just think that this Tigers team is going to find a way to stay in games and to just come through late.
Yeah, actually, I made a mistake too. By the way, the Astros won their division. That's my fault.
Yeah. They won their division and they
over Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were 4-2 this year against the Tigers. But obviously, that is before the
that's
Tigers.
What they went on a run.
Now.
Yeah,
right.
Mikey, I want because I'm with you because I think about what the Tigers have managed to piece together and make the postseason, and AJ Hinch is a wizard, and that bullpen it's full of a bunch of guys that nobody really knows, but then you all like don't they Kenta Maeda's in that bullpen, and he's got experience, and the Astros are just fucking inevitable, man. Like they've been to what 7 straight ALCSs?
7, 8, yeah, 7 in a row. Yeah.
They're fucking inevitable. And
similar to the Chiefs, how we were talking about.
This
is not a year that they're overall like the best, where you can't throw some doubts.
Grammer has been having the yips at certain points throughout the season too. I listen. I'm trying to talk myself into the Tigers because obviously I've been high on Scooble all season, but man, the Astros are inevitable. The Astros are inevitable.
Maybe I'm just a hater, but I'm picking the Astros, and this is why, because I think the Astros are going to win Game 1. His last 16 starts, Framber Valdez is 10-2 with a 2.19 ERA. I think I understand Scooble has been lights out. He's been amazing. Triple Crown. I talked about. Michael, you mentioned that he's the first in Verlander 2011. In 2011, Justin Verlander was like, it was fun watching him pitch. And Scrooble's been the same way all season. But I think, again, like you said, that old veteran team, bro, they're going to come and remind you that, this is where it gets a little tighter. The situations are a little different. We know Detroit is going to be excited. They're happy to get in. And they are, I believe, 7-3 in their last 10. But no, I'm going to go with the team with the experience. I'm going to go with the Astros.
For what it's worth, though, I would like to see the Tigers. In the dream world,
I wouldn't.
I would.
Yeah. But no, to Mikey's point, not even on no hate, because I don't want to sound like too much of a hater. To Mikey's point, he's done an amazing job managing that club, especially with that bullpen. Like you said, there's a bunch of no-name guys that most people haven't heard of, but they really come in and shut shit down. And the way he uses them has been amazing. So to hear him, damn it, like the fucking Joker say, well, it's just gonna be my ace and then pitching chaos. That's a guy I can trust him when he says that, because I know he knows how to pull those strings and makes the right move. So it's going to be, I think it'll be a good 3 game. It'll go to full 3 games, but I think the Astros are going to take Game 1 and that'll propel them to winning the series.
I think both favorites here probably will win this series, the Orioles and the Astros, even though I have no AL Central hate against these teams at the current moment. But I do love watching Bobby Witt play baseball. I think he's a great young player. I think what he's done this year has been pretty impressive. I'm kind of with what Mikey said. I think the Orioles learned from their playoffs last year, learned the mistakes of being in the playoffs for the first time in years. And I think they're going to take advantage of that. I think it's going to be a raucous crowd out there in Baltimore. I think they're ready. I think their rotation is ready. And I don't think the Royals are there yet. I think that they will be soon, but I think that the Orioles are going to be able to win this one. As far as Astros and the Tigers, like you said, Courtney, like Orlando said in the chat, the Astros are inevitable, but every now and then the bully guy get knocked out. And I believe one thing about baseball is kind of like hockey a little bit, kind of like NFL a little bit, where it's the hot team, you kind of got to throw all them stats out the window, man. And I think they're a well-coached team, well-managed team. You got AJ Hinch going back to Houston. I think that's a good storyline. I like the role that the Tigers on, and I'm going to take the Tigers in the upset. Scott, I think they'll win.
Scott, to your point, what you said, there's always just like that one kind of random hot team. There's always that one random hot pitcher, right? Like a couple years ago, it was like Ryan Presley for the Astros, and I can't say random because obviously the guy's been, in a position to win with the Astros for a while. Last year it was Josh Sborz. Like, where the hell did that come from? I'm just curious to see who that guy is going to be this year and what team he's going to be on. I fear in my heart.
Might be Scooby.
No, that he's on the Padres. And it makes me physically nauseous because they got some dogs in that bullpen, and I'm afraid of the Padres. I'm afraid of the Padres this postseason.
Perfect segue. with the NL matchups. Let's just go with the Padres. The Padres had a really good season. The Padres finished second in the NL West, but they took the Dodgers up to that final series, man. They finished 93-69. They will be playing the team that we just got done watching. That is the Atlanta Braves. And I feel like the Atlanta Braves on their last leg here. I'm gonna go to you, Courtney, because you said you were worried about, who's a hot pitcher.
Absolutely, I am.
Who's your pick and what you think about this series?
Sadly, I do fear that the Padres are gonna win this thing pretty handedly. Actually, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna take more than 3 games. But no, the Padres scare me. I think that they could win the World Series, actually, and I hate to admit that.
That would be an amazing party over there in Gaslamp. Oh my God. That is one of the most drunkest places I've ever been in my life. When I went to San Diego, I think it was 3 years ago. It was kind of like when they started letting people back into games after the pandemic, and they've got I don't know if you've seen the
some great bars over there. There's this one right outside the ballpark. First time in my life.
I went there.
You ever had a Miller High Life pony bottle? You know the little baby bottles of Miller High Life?
Yeah.
Man,
the one outside the one outside the ballpark, that's the one that finished me.
They take a little bit of the beer out, you put some amaretto in it, they flip it, and it's a Dr. Pepper shot. You chug the whole thing. Don't ask me how many I had.
Yeah, that finished me, and I found myself playing drunk. What's that shit called? The mind is a skit, not with the fucking pool. Yeah, I was drunk playing pool at another establishment that night. That's how crazy it was. But Mikey, what you think about this series?
I think the Padres are gonna go ahead and handle business. Y'all can see here right now. I'm about to throw. Let's see if y'all can see that. I'm about to take them to win the World Series at plus 1200. I think they're built the right way. I think that they have starting pitching. They have a bullpen with some flamethrowers. I think the lineup is well balanced. You got Fernando Tatis back. You got Manny Machado. You got Jackson Merrill, who should be the NL Rookie of the Year. I know we love Paulski, but it should be the everyday player. But I just think that he said I ain't going. But I do.
He's doing old school. You got to play everywhere. Oh my God, Mike. Where's his glove? He gotta have a glove.
He gotta have a glove. What is it? Just for me, as we look at the two teams that played today, the Mets and the Braves, the Mets were able to escape out of this 2-day doubleheader with only exhausting one arm in Taylor Miguel. Didn't really fatigue much of their starters after the first game because they let people rest. They can go ahead and set up their lineup, their rotation the right way, whether you want to go Severino or Manaya, game 1 against the Brewers, and then, maybe come back with Quintana for a game 3 if necessary. Whereas the Braves are completely fucked. Like Dante said earlier, you kind of had a feeling something was wrong with Chris Sale because he hasn't pitched since September 19th. He's missed his last 3 starts. And it wasn't something about, just trying to have him ready for today. They scratched him today. They said he had back spasm yesterday. Listen, as somebody who's 35, Chris Sale is older than me. When your back is fucked up, your back is fucked up. Now they want to throw him on a plane.
Back spasms too. Woo!
Now you're going to throw him on a plane flying from Atlanta to the West Coast to then try to get him to – he's not going to be able to pitch tomorrow, probably. Who knows? And now you're looking at I can't say his last name, but they used the other Spencer today. And they had to use
what's his name?
Schwellenbacher, Rowan Gardner, whatever.
Schwellenbecker, yeah.
Schwellenbecker, yeah. It sounds like a nice German IPA.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, you get you a Schwellenbecker. 10% alcohol.
Get you a Polish and a Schwellenbecker.
Did you see that they're trying to bring Ian Anderson back out of the woodworks?
Yeah, I see that. I mean, well, they're probably gonna have to now because if Chris Sale can't go, then there's no need to have him on the roster, for this round. And you're gonna need as many arms as you can, especially coming off of a doubleheader. So I do like the Padres in this one. I like how they're kind of lining up their rotation as well with Michael King. Going game 1, and they're kind of keeping their ace in the hole, Dylan Cease, available for a game 3. If not, he'll be ready to go game 1. Don't forget, they also, if they do have to go 3 and they win, then they'll be starting Game 1 against the Dodgers with Yu Darvish. So they have plenty of aces in the hole. Offensively, I think they'll have no problem. I've been saying it all year. This Braves team offensively is not the Braves team of the last few years. I'm gonna ride with the Padres in that one.
Chavez, Ravine, Doc Rivers is insane.
I mean, it's very spot on.
That's crazy.
It's very spot on.
That's a great analogy.
Again, I told y'all earlier when the season started, I said I think Dave Roberts has one more year. Yeah, he gets one more season.
Yeah, Magic Johnson don't like
him. Fired. I think it's because Ohtani didn't pitch. There's a lot of pitching injuries on that team.
There's a lot. There's so many pitching.
They're gonna win the World Series. It's not.
There's too many pitching injuries for this team for it to all fall on Dave Roberts. I can see if he made some issues, but like
that's a good point.
80% of their starting rotation is down.
Yeah. Like their rotation right now is gonna have a dude named Landon Knack in it.
Yeah, that's bad. And Buddy beat his girl, so the one pitcher the other pitcher he did have fucked it up.
We'll get into our favorites breakdown. We do the DS's. Dante, what you got in this Padres?
Man, I hate the fact that Chris Sale is having back issues because he had an amazing season. Like he's probably gonna win the NL Cy Young. He was spectacular and really held this team together after you lose Spencer, after you lose Acuna. Austin Riley's been in and out of the lineup. So it sucks, but they are running into the wrong team at the wrong time because I'm with Courtney. I think the Padres are one of those teams that are really built to really go on a run. Like you could easily look up and see them in the NLCS. And I wouldn't be shocked if they went to the World Series. So I think this Padres team is really good. And, of course, because God likes to punish me, I think I'm going to see Dylan Cease pitching in the World Series this year. So, yeah. Write that down.
Well, what was matchup that they go play the Dodgers? Dylan Cease starts, and Michael Kopech pitches a couple shutdown innings. We're going to be ready to play in 4 or 5.
We do this every playoffs, though. Like, we can bring the list out every year, bro.
And some breaking news right now. Nobody died. But
I thought we was going 3 for 3 today.
It did come out. Snicker just said Chris Sale is not expected to be available in the wild card series.
That stinks.
Hey, but give me a game 3, Ronaldo Lopez, Dylan Cease matchup. In the year that the White Sox set the record for the most losses. Give me that.
I am going to go with one of my favorite players in baseball, Manuel Arturo Machado, and the San Diego Padres. I think that crowd out there in San Diego is funny. That's the most fun ballpark I've ever been to. It is cracking up in there. That is an amazing baseball crowd. That's going to be lit. It's not going 3 games. They're going to clean sweep these dudes. I like them, and I think they got a chance to win it all, just like Courtney said. Final series, and then we're going to wrap this up. The Brewers, who, despite the fact that they lost their highly prized manager, they came in and they won their division. Won the NL Central 93-69. They will be hosting the hot New York Mets. We just saw one today. Big second half of the season for them. Puerto Rican legend Francisco Lindor has been killing at a great home run today. I'm gonna go, Mike Yard. I see the hat. Are you rolling? Ready. Are you rolling with the Metropolitans in this series, or you think the Brewers gonna win?
Oh man, I would love to go with the Mets. I said earlier in the season, kind of like around like late July, August, I said the Mets will be this year's Diamondbacks team of last year. But man, it's just something about, it's something about the Brewers having the Mets number this year. Like I said, they went 5-1 against them. They don't have to travel. They didn't have to play a doubleheader today. I mean, you get Devin Williams back and, that airbender in the back of the bullpen. They got Joel Payamps, Jackson Churio. This was the year of Jackson. What's up with all these players naming their kid Jackson this year? Jackson Holiday, Jackson Merrill, Jackson Churio. But man, like I really do want to go with the Mets, and I will take them for the sake of Francisco Lindor. Outside of Ohtani is my favorite player in the game right now. He literally put the team on his broken back today in that 9th inning. That was one of the best games that I've seen, not only this year, but in a very long time. And this is why you love baseball. This is why I always go back to baseball, Scott. Even if the White Sox are bad, whatever, I will always love this sport because you play 162 games of, throughout the year, and game 161 and game 162 mattered. So I'm gonna ride with the Mets. I think they find a way. I liked what I've seen out of Luis Severino this year. I think he had a really good bounce back year. And let's just hope that they can take the momentum, into Milwaukee up there. I don't want nobody from Milwaukee winning shit. I hated when the Bucks, won the championship. I don't want anybody from that state to do anything.
Only thing I like in Milwaukee is Giannis and Dame.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not a Giannis guy. I'm a Giannis
and that's
guy.
it. No. I fuck with Giannis. The other one, I know he's I'm not really a Dame time fan, but I'm gonna ride with the Mets. And it's gonna be a really good series. I think that one is probably guaranteed to go probably 3.
Dante, what you got in this one?
Oh man, I'm gonna go with the Brewers. I think the Brewers. It'll be too much for the Mets. The Mets have been on a great run. It's a great story, especially after the season, because pretty much everybody punted on the Mets this year. We all said, it's salary dumps. Cohen's trying to, see what he has with his young guys, and then next year they're gonna spend some money to try to go get Juan Soto. Now you're in a situation where you can make yourself a much more appealing destination for Juan Soto if you can put together a playoff run. But no, I do think the Brewers are going to get it done. And I'm with Mikey. I don't like anything Milwaukee related, just state of Wisconsin. I do not like to step foot in it if I don't have to. But I think
the only good shit that Wisconsin has is thank you for blessing us with Culvers. But that's it.
Oh, that's from Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Butterburgers go hard.
They sell cheese curds. You couldn't pick up.
Well, okay, now that makes sense. That makes sense. But no, it is gonna be funny though to see them win this series without Craig Counsell, because everybody tried to give him so much. They tried to give him so much of the credit.
The Phil Jackson treatment, boy.
No, yeah. And Pat Murphy did a hell of a job, and like I said, they just found a way. Willie Adames will definitely be, and we'll see his name in a couple months when they go ahead and they, when they give Ohtani that MVP award, we'll see that Willie Adames' name will be pretty high up there. He had a hell of a year. But they just found a way. They play baseball the right way. They have some speed. I know Sam Frelick got hurt going into right field on a catch over the weekend. Which was kind of, I know I seen kind of like on Brewers Twitter and reading through some publications that a lot of people were upset that he was even out there because of the fact that they had, wrapped up, the NL Central, and they were already, going to be in the playoffs. But he says he's ready. Now we'll see if he actually is on the roster. But he's a speed guy, plays really well in the outfield for them, and he could be a table setter.
Courtney, take us home on the baseball.
When's the last time that the Brewers won a playoff series? Like 2018, I want to say.
Been a minute.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, I do got to ride with the Brewers. I don't want to, but I got to ride with the Brewers. Simply because the Mets are, I don't know. I told y'all that was a sneaky team preseason. I said, you know what, the Mets are sneaky, but I feel like the Bucks got to stop somewhere, and I think it's now. So I'm going to take the Brewers in the series.
And that concludes our baseball coverage. Mike, even though you got to get up out of here, we're going to take a very quick last break. Then we're going to spend the last 20 minutes talk about a couple the big topics from this weekend in college football. Then I'm going to give y'all my take on Karl Anthony Towns going to the New York Knicks, man. Bang will be joining us right back. So, of course, you can follow Mikey at @Junior_Solito. He'll be back on Friday. Mikey's weekend bets took a break last week, but he will be back for you guys. I'm pretty sure he's going to have some baseball bets for y'all as well this weekend. Mike, anything you want to say before we get you up out of here?
Nah, that's it. Gonna get ready to watch some terrible football in this first game with the Titans and Dolphins, and then we get a nice little. Thank God for 2 games this week.
Yeah.
We get Geno. I really like.
This is Snoop Huntley disrespect, and I won't tolerate it.
Yes, he's off.
I really like.
Not to get on my Scott shit.
I really like the Seattle Seahawks tonight. He said about to get on your Scotch. I'll let y'all, man.
All right, Mike. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break, and then we'll be right back. And we're going to close this up with a little bit of college football and a little NBA talk.
So cool. Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice tray, go for trade. Yeah, we cold too. on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
And we are back. Bang is back. We're gonna take these last 20 minutes. Gonna take you right up to the actual Monday Night Football game that you niggas want to watch. Not Will Levis versus whoever the backup quarterback is in Miami right now. I don't know if it's Skylar Thompson or their third runner or their third quarterback. All I know is if you are a Miami sports fan, you better be happy that the U is back because these niggas stink. But let's just get into some college football. You know, a crazy college football weekend. One of the best college football games I ever saw happen out there in Tuscaloosa. You had the Alabama Crimson Tide going up against the Georgia Bulldogs, who have been dominating these last couple years, won a couple championships. It was big game atmosphere. College game day was there. This was the first in this rivalry for their new head coach out there in Alabama, even though Nick Saban looked like he was up there in his head pointing out 28 problems that he saw, even though they're up by multiple touchdowns. They brought Drewski. Drewski was out there with with everything. It was a big atmosphere. This game was crazy. The Alabama was blowing them out the water. They came. And Georgia came back, even took the lead, man. And just an amazing catch there at the end. That was an incredible game, Courtney. We know you're Alabama fan. Just take us through your emotions, because in the group chat you're confident, then you start to lose. He's like, I don't know where this is going.
Listen, that game had me absolutely stressed. All by its side, what an incredible game! Like for the sport, like if you want someone to get into college football, that's a game to show them. Because it just was two incredibly talented teams. Where Georgia could have given up very easily. But they did not. I will say Alabama's play calling got significantly more honestly, after the first quarter. So that was a little disappointing to see, just because I come from the Nick Saban school of thought. Fuck that. Make their ass quit. Run it the fuck up. And especially against, we saw Ole Miss go down that day. So you need some SEC teams to start taking bad losses. As far as one-loss teams that are going to get into the playoff, I highly doubt that Georgia has any concern now with it being an expanded field of 12 teams. But, man, that game had me absolutely stressed. I'm not going to lie. I was a little sauced. And by a little, I was very sauced. So by the time third quarter happened, I was in bed and ready to go to sleep, but I couldn't. The anxiety was palpable. Hell of a game. Even shout out to Carson Beck for getting it the fuck together in the second half, because that shit.
Carson Beck auto parts.
No, he is not built for it. That man was seeing ghosts out there for the first quarter. Because you could say that you think that the game is going to go Alabama's going to beat the hell out. Never in my life did I predict that. Nobody did. Everybody thought it was going to be such a close game. So to go up, 30-0 in the first quarter was just insane. An insane game.
Definitely, man. And Ryan Williams had 17
years old.
Bruh.
You know what I was doing at 17?
I wasn't doing that.
Not that.
17 years old, I was being an idiot. I saw a tweet. Somebody said Ryan Williams is doing this at 17. You know what I was doing at 17? Being a bitch. That was one of the funniest.
Yeah, I was running out of breath.
This week. That's what I was doing. When he caught the ball, that spin he did should be illegal. Like it was just crazy.
He had two incredible catches from that. Yeah. One bobble where you thought, I hope that doesn't end up being a pick. And then when he turned around and went and caught it, you can just see how much fun he's having out there, which is he's showing his age. He's 17 and having fun on the biggest stage.
The best part of all of this is after this amazing game, the nigga changed his Abby to Mike Vick holding a pit bull.
Yeah,
that's my kind of guy right there. Like that's my kind of player right there. I just whooped your ass, and we're gonna talk crazy after the game. So no, 17 years old, and we know quietly we talk about other universities. It's a lot of wide receivers coming out of Bama. And we can go back to Julio. Like it's a lot of wide receivers coming out of Bama, and I think this kid is in line to be one of the next ones.
Bang, what'd you see on Saturday that stood out to you from this game?
What I saw that stood out was drugs. I I thought this game was over. Like once halftime hit, I was like, ain't no way in hell Georgia coming back from this. So I took me 2 gummies, and next thing you know, it's like 11 o'clock. I woke up and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I thought I was tweaking. I thought somebody was tweaking, somebody was lying. All of a sudden, I started seeing highlights from ESPN. I said, man, I think I just missed the greatest college football game of all time.
You really did. That was a top. That was like
amazing.
I've watched a lot of Alabama games in my life. That's going in the memory as like that's top 2, top 3 easily.
Because here's the other reason. Here's the other reason why I was just like, this game is over. The other reason why I thought this game was over because it's the playoff. Like, okay, I could get this back. I just got my ass whooped by Alabama, but we could get this back and we could be up in the playoff. So the fact that Georgia didn't give up, Georgia, Kirby Smart rallied the troops, and honestly, they should have won this game. Because when you look at that play that the kid did, that was God. That was all God right there. So in reality, they should have came back and they won this game, but they didn't.
100%.
And yeah, that's what I got out of it.
Bama's
quite possibly the greatest football
secondary
game.
was low key suspect. It is low key suspect. It's a little scary. So that last second interception, also Xavier Brown. Shout out to you.
Yeah. The 2 things that I took from that game, even though he did play much better then and came back, Carson Beck lost about $30 million Saturday night easily from the way he played. And number 2, I think Jalen Milroe is comfortably in this Heisman conversation. Those are 2 things I took from that, and it's actually a perfect segue into our next college topic.
1 second.
Go ahead, my bad.
Gonna say something earlier.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not recency bias because I live here, so I know you, Courtney.
That's
you
why I
locked
said
in with
Alabama
Bama.
games specifically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I'm about to say
specifically.
when
Tua
Tua
talk about what was that 2008 that blackout game when we marched our asses into Athens and hung 30 on y'all in the first quarter.
Now, my man, I was about to give y'all credit. I was gonna say the best one is easily when Tua hit them boys up to win that game. That's number 1, like hands down. Like when I tell you people at work were on suicide watch.
You talking about the national championship game?
Week, yes.
Yeah.
For like a week, these folks did not want to talk.
Didn't he throw that to Jalen Waddle to win the game?
Yes, in the bins. In the bins, G. Them boys was sick. So no, it was a great game. No, it was
I really liked, especially from this game, just real quick before we move on. I like the fact that this game obviously the stakes were high. You want to win, and now Bama's number 1 and jump Texas. But like there was no, this is it. Every Alabama Georgia matchup has always had some kind of really incredibly high stakes behind it. This is just a regular old SEC Saturday, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's good football.
Very good football. I definitely enjoyed it. While I was talking about Jalen Milroe, a Heisman. The Heisman conversation's heating up. My boy Cam Ward, great game on Friday. That should never been, by the way, should have never been called a touchdown to begin with. Let's be very clear.
Great game might be a bit of a stretch.
Compared to other games now, but it was a good game. It was a solid game for him. It should have never been called for a touchdown to begin with. The nigga
he was playing crazy. He was playing crazy.
The nigga was out of bounds. Great call by those referees over there at Hard Rock Stadium. I'm sure they didn't want to see some gunplay looking niggas meet them outside of that stadium. But Travis Hunter is the best player, pound for pound, in college football right now. He is a cheat code, by the way. I know everybody on here said that the Colorado Buffaloes, how would y'all say, 5-6 wins? We 2 away now. We 2 away. 4. Yeah, 4-4-1 right now. Blowout victory of UCF, 48-21. Shedeur Sanders, 20-36, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. They actually started to run the football, which is big. It showed the balance that they needed. They had 128 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Defense has been pretty good. The defense was terrible last year. They've been pretty solid this year, especially in the second half. But Travis Hunter's the story, man. 9 receptions, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. And he also put in a couple tackles and had an incredible interception where he hit the Heisman pose in the end zone. With everything going on, you got Jalen Murrow. He's at a bigger team. You got Cam Moore, what he's doing. And I'm pretty sure there'll be, some other candidates going on here. But what chances, what a legitimate shot here for Travis Hunter to win a Heisman?
For me, I just worry about his fact that he's not going to be in my opinion, I don't think Colorado's going to win more than two more games. I'm looking at their schedule right now. I think they maybe
Kansas State, Arizona.
I think Kansas State's an L. I think Arizona is an L. Cincinnati, fringe W. Texas Tech, I'm not sure. Utah, L. Kansas, who knows who Kansas is going to be by November. And Oklahoma State, L. I think that's the only thing for me. Because if I'm going to apply the same argument about with NL Rookie of the Year, with, a guy needing to be, that's pretty spectacular that this guy can play on both sides of the ball and not just do it, but do it incredibly well. I think there's something to be said to that, and that you're not going to get that. We're not getting this again. So I think if we're going to give it to a guy who's able to do that, we got to do it now, and we can't wait until someone like him comes along again. In a couple of more generations.
I think this is a one I kind of like what I think this is a unique situation where, I do think that Colorado probably can do 2 more wins, but I don't know. I know you're gonna sound. I think they can probably eke out 7. I think they can get 3 more. But regardless of the record, I think this what he's doing is so crazy. Like when people bring up other dual threat wide receivers, none of them was great at wide receivers he is. So that to me is why it's the outlier, and I feel that the voters or whoever decides this should look at that and give him the award. What Jalen Murrow is doing is great. What Cam Moore is doing is great. But what this dude is doing is just asinine. It don't make no sense. Like to the point where whoever drafts him is really you gonna have to play whatever your need is. You know what I'm saying? Whoever that is, that's fine. Whatever. Dante on back-to-back weeks.
I tried to play that shit off. I definitely did.
But I think this is a unique situation to where they should give it to the kid because what he's been doing has just been crazy. And like you said, Courtney, I don't think we're going to see something like this for a long time where he's legitimately great at both positions. And that's why I think that it should go to him. Bang, I'm going to go to you. What's your take on his Heisman candidacy?
Man, he gotta win. They gotta win out.
That's what worries me.
Win out?
Yeah, they gotta. He can't. He can be the most electric football player on the football field, but the Heisman go to quarterbacks. And unless you are that damn better, it's gonna always go to a quarterback now. So. He has to be. I hate to use it this way, but how black people got to be double everybody else in order to get what they need to get.
You bring up a good point, Bang, because that's another thing that worries me. And I hate to say it because I love and I respect Deion Sanders. I worry if possible voters for Deion might hinder Travis Hunter's chances. Yeah, and I hate to even acknowledge that as a possibility because that's not the onus for that. That's right. Not on him.
And that's where I was going. That was going to be part 2 of this. You have part 1 of this is that he's what he's doing is unprecedented, but he's still not a quarterback. So he has to be that damn better than the guy who's throwing him the ball. You got Todd McShay that's coming out here and say, I watched every play that he did during that game against Baylor, and the man was fantastic. He was amazing. he has to be that much better than the guy that's throwing him the ball. Luckily, people like Carson Beck had that game that he had the weekend, and Ewers is not playing right now, so you got Arch is coming out there, but he has to do that for the rest of the season. And Colorado has to be not only a bowl team, but they got to win like 8-9 games before he even gets like really true.
Do you think he'll go to New York?
Yeah, he's going to New York.
Okay.
Time
Go ahead, Dante.
out. I mean, obviously, I love Travis, but that nigga Ryan Williams is Serena Williams' cousin.
I didn't know that.
She tweeted it yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry. She just tweeted it 26 minutes ago.
She said what?
She said, honestly, this is pretty impressive from my 17-year-old cousin. Go, cuz.
What the hell?
That's random.
Wait, actually though, or like
is that black cousin like when Patrick Mahomes called Dylan Raiola his cousin, or is that like his
his last name?
We'll find out soon because there's a lot of black Williams out there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know,
Travis, we can get into the. I mean, we can get into New York.
Yeah, but no, my thing
is from Mobile, Alabama. They must be distant cousins.
Hey, we got niggas be everywhere.
Niggas try.
But my thing with Travis is the fact that you have had so many, well-respected names in college football come out and say what he's doing is different. Like, that's why I think the win-loss record may not be held against him that much. Because when you have a Charles Woodson come out and say, nah, bro, he's doing this at an elite level, a level that I wasn't doing it at. When you have Urban Meyer say that, we've seen a lot of great college football players, but we haven't seen somebody do it on both sides of the ball the way he does it consistently. So I think he just needs more games like last week where he has these marquee moments. Like, last 2 weeks, like he had the fumble that he forced at the goal line. Then he has to dive an interception. He almost has 10 receptions. He has a touchdown. He has to keep giving you spectacular plays on both sides. And I think if he does that, not only is he going to the ceremony, he could fuck around and pull it out and get a win.
Dante, I agree with you. And I would even jump on your side if it was just the players' vote. Because I think if you were to poll just Heisman Trophy winners, people who got that trophy, I don't think it's close. Travis Hunter had that trophy in his goddamn locker today. You wouldn't even have to go the rest of the season. If it was up to just the winners, you goddamn right. But it ain't. And that's what I worry about. I worry about the Heisman shouldn't even be a trophy that we just automatically look at the damn quarterback in the first place.
I feel that way about NFL. I feel that way about NFL MVP too.
Yeah, when's the last time someone on defense won the Heisman?
Charles Woodson.
When was that?
1998.
1998.
Yeah, and the fact that it takes this long to even consider it is, it's a quarterback. It's a quarterback thing,
Much love, respect to Trav. I will be rooting for you. Final 5 minutes. I'm just gonna talk about this big trade happened over the weekend. Massive trade. Actually, Courtney sent to the chat first for everybody. Gotta give it. But NBA news, NBA court. By the way, Mason Rudolph time in Miami right now. I don't know if anybody paid attention. Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback for Tennessee right now. Will Levis is on the bench, ladies.
What I say? Yeah. What I say last episode?
You called it. Mason Rudolph is out there. But Karl Anthony Towns got traded out of the blue to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo in a future first-round pick. I have a lot of Knicks fans, homies. A lot of them were distraught because they love Julius Randle. Look at me when I say this. The nigga stinks. Okay, Julius Randle is ass. Okay, we have seen it for years and years and years. New York fans do the same thing Chicago sports fans do. We fall in love with the hard hat, lunch pail type players. Is Cat soft? 100%. But when it comes to the game of basketball, in the words of what's my man Mark Aguirre, player to player, no comparison. Karl Anthony Towns is a way better player than Julius Randle. I love this trade for the New York Knicks, and I hate the Knicks. So if I say I love it, that means, somebody said Will got hurt, but he's on the bench. Okay, either way, It's Mason Rudolph time. But for me, I love this trade because that's exactly what the Knicks need. They need another scorer, another offensive guy, a big who can put up points in the paint. Somebody now, is he gonna be posted from the corner like Tim Legg a lot of times? Yeah, but that's just how today's NBA is. You're gonna have to live with that. It's better than Julius going full bozo mode and running to the paint like he's Marshawn Lynch. I love this trade 100%. From the Minnesota perspective, on a basketball side, it's ugly, but we knew that this is going to happen. They had to slash payroll because they're probably changing ownership with A-Rod and Mark Lurie taking over 100%. They weren't going to keep playing Cat $220 million when they got to pay Anthony Edwards and they're already paying Rudy Gobert. That was just part of it. But for the Knicks fans, I'm telling you, there's going to be some nights where he's going to be soft. You'll be calling him out his name. But I love this trade for them, and I really think they've got a legitimate shot to make the NBA Finals. And I never thought I was going to say that. Man, you bang it down.
This was a great trade. I think from a human side, it's probably unfortunate for Cat because he spent all his time in Minnesota. He's going through a lot, personally and professionally in Minnesota. And now that they finally established the culture, you get traded. So, that sucks. But going to New York, a team that is, expected to contend to win the East and go to the finals, I think that's dope. And also, you got Mitchell Robinson there to play defense. So I know he's still recovering from an injury that he got when Joel Embiid did that whole shit and grabbed his leg. But I think that's somebody that can take some of that pressure defensively off of him. And Tibbs is great at scheming it up, and teams has history with Cat. So, they've worked together before. So I think this is a really, really good trade for New York. If you Julius Randle, damn, dog, like this.
You go from New York City to Minnesota.
You going from Manhattan to motherfucking Minneapolis.
I was told that there were hoes in Minneapolis.
No, Minneapolis is a good city, but it ain't fucking New York.
Yeah, Courtney, I said Ohio. I didn't say Minneapolis.
Okay,
I did not say Minnesota.
I was told the hoes were.
No, I said Ohio. Yeah, she that real judgy point.
She tried to slide that in there.
Yeah. I said Ohio.
We don't take too much Midwest slander now. Come on.
I will leave what I want to say about Minnesota alone.
He said there's Joliet white women in Minnesota. That's hilarious.
I'm going to leave it alone because it would be disrespectful and I don't want to get called out on the show. But a specific type of woman, is in Minnesota
save for the chat.
Waiting for Julius Randle. Julius Randle is going to have a slate of women that he cannot avoid.
He's very married, isn't he, with children?
Like I said, it's going to be a slate of women, a type of woman that he's not going to be able to avoid when he gets there. They're going to be all on him. Look, it's a terrible trade for Minnesota. This we know what this is. This is money. This is salary dump in the worst possible way. This is what a lot of people was afraid of when the ownership thing started to take place. In fact, a lot of people had said they want to blow up the team completely after this season if A-Rod and company were to get a hold of the team because of the capital that they have in the first place. So I wasn't surprised that this trade happened. I was surprised that it happened so late. This happened when media days happened.
Media days today.
It was supposed to happen like this late. So that's what I'm more surprised of, that how late that this trade happened in the first place. With that being said, if I'm Cat, hey man, that's cool and all. But I know that my girl would rather be in New York than she would rather be in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So Jordan Woods and her mama, hey, this is a trade for them, all right? They gonna get, Madison Avenue, here we come. Yeah. The Kardashians, we back cool with the Kardashians and them too. Oh, let's ride. I wouldn't be surprised if they get married after this shit now. Baby, we moved on up. But if I'm the Knicks, the time is now to win. There's no bones about it. You are now a top 4 team in the East.
In the league. They ain't top 4 team in the league. Yeah.
I'm not going to put them on the league yet.
The West is mid this year.
I know, but I'm not going to put them there yet. Not gonna put them there yet because the team got a jail. The other niggas for Villanova that didn't get traded, they gotta get back to knowing each other. Then Cat is a little bit different than Julius Randle. Julius Randle will pop outside, but he can still move around in the post. But he'll shoot that thing too. Well, Cat think he's the greatest big man shooter of all time. Like he's gonna stay out there. So what's gonna happen when he stays out there? You just trusted Mitchell Robinson all by himself coming off injury. You got Tibbs that's over there. Yeah, he know what he got in Cat, and Cat know what he got in Tibbs. But they gotta fall into place. But I think it will. I will say this. I think it will. And I would throw out a prediction right now that I expect the Knicks to be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I do too, and they play the Boston Celtics opening night, ring night, before the NBA tries to bludgeon us to death with Bron and Bronny content in their second game. But I'll talk about that on Friday. That is all we've got for y'all today. Very good episode, man. Shout out to Greg Braggs Jr. for joining us in hour one. Shout out to everybody watching. We had 1,100 people in the chat today, so shout out to all of y'all. We back on Friday. We're gonna have our guy, friend of the program, co-host of the Captain J Hood Morning Show. J Hood will be joining us.
Real quick, because I didn't get a chance to do it on the show because everybody was talking some good baseball and everything. But rest in peace to Pete Rose. Look, man, it's a damn shame that he's now probably going to get into the Hall of Fame now that he's passed. But one of the things that I learned about Pete Rose even before the documentary is how he supported his teammates, especially the players of color as well. So don't know necessarily about anything outside of his personal life, outside of him being the original FanDuel and stuff. But if there was ever a player that you looked at and you said that this is how the game's supposed to be played, that's Pete Rose. The all-time his leadership not be in the Hall of Fame, and he should have had that opportunity to do it alive. But I think Greeny said it best, how this ain't really the time to talk about the complicated legacy. We've heard about the complicated legacy anytime you hear Pete Rose's name. I just hope for the next couple of days, everybody who celebrates baseball just shows how this man played the game. Yeah, and I know it's not gonna. And I
doubt that's gonna happen. I think that's wishful thinking.
That's wishful thinking.
Actually, I think it's a great time to discuss complicated legacies. Actually, let's
give it a day. Let's give it a day or two, because we hear all the time about the betting more than we hear the baseball.
Well, did you see what the thing said? It said that Pete Rose, hit king, banned from the game.
Right.
So I'm
damn. That's what I'm saying. Damn.
But Bang, I just like a little insight. Obviously, I didn't play in the league or nothing like that, but as somebody who played in college and playing in different stadiums, people don't understand. I understand gambling is legal now, but like that rule is like the cardinal sin in baseball. When you walk in the clubhouses, it's literally
gambling pitching.
You know how when you was in school and your teacher would put all the signs up and shit around the class. When you walk in, it's big ass one.
Big ass there.
Do not bet on baseball. So like for him to do that and then betting on his team, and also what really fucked Pete up, he kept lying. Like as we saw in the documentary. He wanted to die with the lie, and he did die with the lie eventually.
It's just like, damn, I want to actually hear about baseball for a day.
Yeah, I don't think it ever happened.
And it'll never happen. But it's like, damn.
There's plenty of wild card series.
I'm about to say, you're going to hit some baseball. It's going to be about some Orioles and the Royals.
Give me one day of some ill-ass Pete Rose highlights.
Give him buddy ass treatment.
Yeah, it's just like disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong. Like you have to say disgraced cyclist before you say Lance Armstrong. Like
that's terrible.
And just so y'all know, I felt the same way about O.J. Simpson. Like, damn, I get it, but damn, like we've been hearing about this shit.
Hey, O.J. Simpson not guilty in a court of law.
It's like,
real quick before we end this episode, I want to put it on the record that the Titans kept the wrong quarterback.
Oh, for sure.
Would you say what?
The Titans kept the wrong quarterback.
Definitely.
So Will Levis is what?
Huh.
Yes. I know he got hurt.
Guess
I'm
what?
just
He's still ain't
thinking
helping
out loud.
Anthony Richardson. But he's still ain't helping Anthony Richardson, who's probably going
nope.
that nigga's trash. But we'll be back on Friday. Local Hour, Jonathan Hood from the Captain J Hood Morning Show will be joining us in Local Hour as we'll get you ready for Bears Panthers. Kyron Samuels couldn't join us today last minute, but he'll be joining us on Friday to preview week 6 in the college football world, man. So y'all can follow Courtney at 1-800-COLLAR-BRO. You can follow Dante at OctoberZonte on Twitter. You can follow JR Bang at JR Bang. All social media platforms. You can follow me at Barchair Scott on all social media platforms, man. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network. If you're looking at the screen right now, you can bring your phone right up, take you right to the QR code, man. And if you are a new subscriber to the Barbershop Access to, you get 25% off on your first order as a member of the Patreon. And tomorrow we will be dropping 79th and Hallist 10th year anniversary merchandise. Got hoodies and shirts that will be available tomorrow at bcnetshop.com. Please support the brand. We appreciate everybody who has copped. And yeah, man, we'll be back on Friday with a new show getting y'all ready. And y'all enjoy the good Monday Night Football game that's about to come on between the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. We'll holler at y'all.